To survive peacefully in the Middle Ages, Eren deliberately hid his true strength. He thought no one would ever notice him that way. But he never expected someone on his own level to see right through him. With just one glance, that person knew Eren was no ordinary man. It all started one day when Eren woke up and found himself in this medieval world. And somehow, he had become a mercenary. He had killed countless enemies on the battlefield. To survive, he had no choice but to keep swinging his sword. Once, Eren found himself in a deadly situation during battle. A female general was the one and saved him. From that moment on, she became the most important person to him in this world. But in the end, she never lived to see the war end. Before she died, she gently touched Eren's face. She whispered, "You're still as handsome as ever. You know what, Eren? I love the rain. After this battle is over, let's go east together. It rains there all the time." But in the end, Eren was the only one who made it here, and she was left behind forever on that battlefield. Still, the rain today was coming down way too hard. Just then, a man suddenly blew a whistle. He shouted, "Stop standing around. We have to catch him before he escapes the city." At the same time, Eren's two companions finally came looking for him. He had been waiting there for ages, and they had finally arrived. Their target this time was a mage. In this world, mages were hated by almost everyone. That was because mages could make contracts with demons. And once demons got involved, things became extremely dangerous. If Hans got caught, his fate would be brutal. At the very least, he would probably be executed. Eren sighed inwardly. This damned medieval world was ridiculous. One word from a lord could decide whether someone lived or died. A moment later, Eren knocked on the door of the guard headquarters. The curly-haired fat man in front of him was Captain Manuel. He looked at Eren and said, "Are you late, Eren?" Eren replied, "I accidentally overslept. Sorry about that." The captain had called Eren in because he wanted to ask about Hans. "I heard you and Hans are very close. Is that true?" In a way, it actually was true. Hans was the smartest person Eren had ever met in this era. And even after Hans entered the Magic Academy, the two of them had stayed on good terms. But Eren obviously could not admit that, so he said he barely knew him. The captain burst into laughter. "Well, that's excellent news. Hans committed a serious crime, and this case involves the Lord's daughter. He stole something from her. That was why the captain wanted Eren to capture Hans himself. He even gave Eren a strict order. Whether Hans was dead or alive, he had to be brought back. Eren said he would do his best to catch him." After leaving, Eren immediately felt this whole situation was a massive pain. After all, the Lord was basically the god of this town. If Eren failed, the Lord might take his anger out on him too. The people now standing in front of Eren were his squad members. They swore they would catch that damned Hans, since they had always hated mages. But even after searching for a long time, they still found no trace of him. Then, Eren heard them talking about giving up the search and going to the tavern for drinks. That instantly pissed him off. "All of you, shut up and spread out. Find him." People in the Middle Ages really were stupid. Their lives were almost on the line, yet somehow they were still thinking about alcohol. As Eren kept walking, he spotted someone up ahead. The man looked suspicious, so Eren told him to take off his cloak. When the man refused to answer, Eren placed his hand on the hilt of his sword. Then the man let out a cold laugh. "It's been a long time, Eren." But the moment he removed his hood, Eren's expression froze. The person in front of him was completely bald. Without saying another word, Eren punched him straight in the head. With just one punch, he knocked the man flat. Eren vaguely remembered this guy. He looked like someone Eren had arrested before, during a public disturbance. The man was speechless. "I'm not that person. I'm just an herb merchant on this street. Someone just stole my goods, so I came here to report it." That made Eren feel a little awkward. No wonder the man looked familiar. He was just a merchant from this street. The bald merchant immediately got angry. What kind of guard punches people before asking questions? "I'm reporting you." But Eren was not afraid of being reported at all. He simply told the man to explain what happened, so he could investigate. The merchant said a thief had stolen his mind-bane ghost herb, but that herb grew all over the mountain behind town. Eren immediately realized something was off. That herb could stop bleeding, so which direction had the thief gone? Following the merchant's information, Eren headed straight that way. There, he soon found another man wearing a cloak. Aaron slowly spoke. "Hans, how did you end up looking like this?" Hans froze when he heard that, as if he had been startled. Normally, Hans always dressed properly, but now he was missing an entire arm. But the chase ended here. Hans had better come quietly, before Eren had to force him. Hans said, "I can't do that right now. Then he began speaking in the language of demons. Aaron paused slightly. So the kid really thinks he can take me on. At the same time, the water on the ground began to change. In the blink of an eye, the rainwater beneath him turned into Hans's weapon. His magic should not have been this powerful. It looked like the rain was boosting him. Hans said quietly, "I'm sorry, Brother Aaron. I can't let you take me away right now." As his hand tightened slightly, the magic in his palm grew even stronger. Aaron never expected to run into water magic on a rainy day. This was going to be annoying. He took a deep breath. Then, he drove all his strength into his legs and shot forward in an instant. Since Hans refused to listen, Aaron had no choice but to subdue him first. Hans was stunned by Aaron's terrifying speed. He immediately tried to chant a spell to restrain Aaron's movements. But he had underestimated Aaron far too much. Aaron said coldly, "Hans, it's time for you to shut up." A mage's words carried unknown power, so when facing one, you had to take them down immediately. Still, Aaron could not bring himself to truly hurt Hans. He only made a shallow cut on his neck. Hans cried as he said, "Brother Aaron, can you please let me live?" Aaron did not answer him. Instead, he asked whether Hans had made a contract with a demon. If that was true, then there should have been a scar near his heart. But when Aaron tore open Hans's clothes, he found no demon mark on his chest at all. Hans clearly was not a servant of a demon, so why had he done something like this? Hans knew he could not explain everything right now, but there was one thing he absolutely had to finish. He only said that one day, Aaron would understand. Aaron was so frustrated, he nearly lost his mind. This guy was seriously driving him insane. Then he grabbed Hans by the collar and opened a bottle of potion. Aaron had brought a healing potion, and he applied it directly to Hans's wound. He said, "This is a recovery potion. Now hurry up and come with me." This guy had already lost an arm just for stealing one item. Was that punishment not enough? Unfortunately, Aaron did not get to decide that, because in this damned medieval world, a person was either innocent or sentenced to death. Aaron lifted a wooden board, revealing a hole beneath it. He told Hans to crawl inside and get moving. Hans looked at Aaron with excitement and called out, "Brother Aaron." Aaron punched him straight in the face. Then he warned Hans never to call him that again. Even after getting hit, Hans did not get angry. Instead, he kept thanking Aaron over and over. Just then, Aaron heard his companions nearby. "This is the only area we haven't searched yet." After that, no one ever saw Hans again. The man, once known as Handsome Hands, Kind Hands, and Friendly Hands, was now wanted for a crime so ridiculous it was almost laughable. He had stolen Lady Cassidy's underwear. What a miserable medieval world. Aaron could not help sighing to himself. Somehow, he had become a guard squad leader in this trashy other world. Everyone was furious that they failed to find Hans. Who would have thought that kid was actually capable? They searched the entire city and still could not find him. His men guessed Hans must have escaped with magic. But if magic could do anything, why had he not reattached his own arm? The sleepy guy in the squad told everyone to quiet down, because he was already dead tired. After that, Aaron was called in for questioning. A man calmly smoked a cigar and said, "You're Aaron, right? Leader of Squad 4? He introduced himself as Sheriff William. If this man gave the order, Aaron could be finished. After all, he stood at the very top of this town, almost like its king. William suspected Aaron had let Hans escape because District 7 was the only area Aaron had searched alone. He asked, "Are you sure you found absolutely nothing there?" His eyes were sending a clear message. "You let him go, didn't you?" And Aaron's eyes sent one right back. "Do you have proof?" There was nothing there except crap. The sheriff then gave a strict order. If anyone dared help a criminal escape, they would be judged as guilty of the same crime. He told Aaron to watch himself and not let him find any evidence, or his death would be ugly. Then he added that if Aaron could not remember that warning, he'd pay for it with his life. Aaron lightly tapped the ash from his cigar. On the surface, he said he understood. But in his heart, he was thinking, "Remember my ass, you old bastard." After the interrogation, Aaron returned safely. This damned medieval world really had no human rights at all. Still, that brat Hans was pretty lucky. It looked like he had managed to escape safely. But just then, Aaron heard a commotion coming from a tavern. Someone inside was causing trouble. "With such a cute owner here, we really don't want to leave." The tavern owner told him to let go. "Please don't do this." A red-haired man turned around, seemingly their leader. "We haven't been in town long. We only wanted to make friends with you." The moment he said that, Everyone in the tavern burst into laughter. The owner was clearly fed up. You people must be mercenaries from another region. If you keep this up, things are going to get ugly. You'd better behave yourselves before things get out of hand. The red-haired man slammed his palm onto the table. He said, "And what if we refuse to behave? What are you going to do about it?" His intimidating aura really did frighten the tavern owner. But at that exact moment, Aaron opened the door and walked in. The owner immediately brightened when she saw him. Even the customers became excited. Now things were finally going to get interesting. They had been sitting there precisely because they were waiting for Aaron to show up. The moment Aaron arrived, the owner quickly ran over to his side. Those men also realized someone dangerous had entered, so they all stood up. Then they lined up and walked toward Aaron one by one. Aaron turned to the tavern owner and said, 10 days. You let me stay here for free for 10 days. The owner said the most she could offer was 5, since there were not that many troublemakers this time. After some negotiation, they finally settled on 6 days. The mercenaries across from them were completely confused by this exchange. The red-haired man grew furious. These damn commoners actually dare look down on us. Then, the bald man stepped forward first and threw a punch at Aaron. But Aaron did not seem to take his attack seriously at all. He simply reached out with one large hand and clamped it tightly over the man's face. Aaron said coldly, "Why do you have to be so foul-mouthed?" With his head trapped in Aaron's grip, the bald man could not move at all. Aaron only applied a little pressure, and the man was already in agony. Then Aaron casually swung his arm and sent the man's body flying. The sight scared the red-haired man half to death. Aaron thought to himself, "You damned medieval people really need someone to teach you a lesson." The old men behind him seemed used to this kind of scene, but every time they watched it, they still got fired up. To them, it was amazing. They could order a few beers and enjoy a show like this every time. In this world, there were no truly evil medieval people. There were only medieval people who needed a beating. As long as Aaron gave each of them one good punch, they would naturally behave. In just a few moves, Aaron subdued the entire group. The old men kept cheering for him. "Go, Aaron, we've been waiting for these thugs to come cause trouble." Before long, every one of those men had been defeated by Aaron. Even using all their strength, they could not move his body an inch. That was why people called him the trash sweeper, the violent guard captain Aaron. Those old men were watching the show again. It looked like they needed some discipline too. Then, one of the mercenaries quietly reached for an axe, but Aaron simply called out, "Hey, you better think carefully. You only get one chance. Are you sure you want to pull out whatever's behind your back?" The red-haired man instantly behaved. "What thing? There's nothing behind my back, sir. You must be seeing things." Aaron was too lazy to waste words on him, so he slammed the man hard into the floor. And with that, Aaron was officially off duty for the day. After returning to his room, an overwhelming wave of exhaustion swept over him. There was a sword hidden under his pillow. That had always been his habit. In his sleep, Aaron dreamed of that woman again. She said to him, "Don't look back. Leave this place now. You have to survive." In the next instant, Aaron suddenly drew the sword from under his pillow. But it was only another dream. Even though he had left the mercenary battlefield years ago, his muscle memory still had not changed. Aaron knew this could not continue. He had to get used to living as an ordinary guard. So the next morning he got up early. He went to the city gate and began his daily sword practice. Aaron had already been in this world for 6 years. He did not know how long this peaceful routine would last, but practicing his sword every day was a habit he had never abandoned. While he was training that day, someone appeared behind him. "Your swordsmanship is incredibly clean." The man could not help clapping in admiration. "I never expected to find a master like you out here on the border. Truly surprising." Aaron did not know this person, and he had never seen him before. However, the armor on the man's shoulder bore the crest of the Finero family, and at his waist, he carried a spiral-shaped spike. There was no doubt about it. This man was powerful. He was probably one of those knights everyone in the Middle Ages admired. Knights were a special group capable of controlling holy power to fight demons. But Aaron could not understand why someone like him had come to such a remote little town. He grew tense, and his grip tightened slightly. Could this man have been sent by the Empire to kill him? The knight said, "Don't be nervous. You don't need to be so guarded around me. Your swordsmanship was simply too impressive, so I couldn't help praising it." Then the knight asked Aaron which knight order he belonged to. But before Aaron could answer, a woman's voice interrupted them. "Then, I didn't expect to find you here. You're my knight. How could you leave me behind?" And she was Vivian, the only daughter of the Cassidy Lord's family. Only then did Vivian notice Aaron. "Were you two talking?" Aaron immediately bowed. "Greetings, my lady. I'm Aaron, leader of Squad 4 of the Cassidy Outer City Guard." Vivian also looked pleased. "It's good to see you, Aaron. Thank you for your hard work last time." Aaron lowered his head and said, "Please don't say that, my lady. Protecting you is my duty." But inwardly, he was wondering why a new knight had been assigned to escort Lady Vivian. Vivian pulled Knight Ben away and said, "Then we won't disturb your training. But later, I'll still have to trouble you to keep patrolling and maintaining order." At that moment, Knight Ben was deeply shocked. That man was really just a guard. It made no sense at all. Why would an ordinary guard possess strength close to that of a knight? And from the look in Ben's eyes earlier, Aaron knew the knight had definitely noticed him. Still, as long as Ben did not provoke him, Aaron had no reason to kill him. For now, he would just go to work like normal. When Aaron arrived at his post, his superior immediately cursed at him. "You bastard, why don't you just hurry up and die?" Aaron had no idea what had happened. As it turned out, the men he beat up yesterday were actually mercenaries. They had been sent here to carry out a mission, but Aaron had injured all of them yesterday. That left Aaron speechless. A bunch of mercenaries acting like street thugs were basically begging to get beaten. But then again, they really had come here for a mission. And now they were all injured. So Aaron went to the administrative office and found Nopo. The moment he walked in, Nopo's fingers paused for a second. She looked at Aaron and said, "Aaron, you again. What exactly are you trying to do? Why are you causing trouble every single day? Causing trouble is one thing, but now you've actually created problems for me." She was the administrative officer of this town. She was also known as the person with the worst temper in the entire town. But this time, Aaron had come prepared. The handsome guy in his squad, Kai, had taught him a few tricks. Kai said that when speaking, Aaron had to keep a slight smile on his face. So Aaron copied him and forced himself to smile. He had to smile. Nopo was clearly startled. "Are you out of your mind today?" Next came the second rule. He had to compliment the other person's strengths. So Aaron smiled and praised Nopo. "Your hairstyle today looks like a ripe orange from the back. It makes me want to bite it really hard." To be honest, this situation had completely gone beyond anything Kai could have predicted. Not only was Nopo not happy, she looked even more annoyed. Had this guy lost his mind? Still, she knew this was exactly the kind of person Aaron was. "The people you cleaned up yesterday were mercenaries preparing to head to Bird City." Aaron said it did not matter. With their level of strength, they were worse than random strays on the street. Even if they had been sent there, they would not have helped at all. That completely angered Nopo. "You bastard, shut your mouth and listen to me. Anyway, this is what the situation has become. You will replace those mercenaries and carry out the mission. You're not allowed to refuse. I'll pay you. And besides, this mess was your fault to begin with." Aaron did not really intend to refuse. After all, he really was the one who caused this problem. But what kind of mission were those mercenaries supposed to do? Then Nopo told him that the mission was to protect a carriage on its way to the next town. And that was how Aaron ended up being assigned to escort a carriage. But he was curious. Did they really need this many people just to escort one carriage? On top of that, most of the escorts were mercenaries. That gave Aaron a very bad feeling. He turned to the red-haired man beside him and asked, "Do you know who's inside the carriage?" But when Aaron looked closer, he realized this was one of the mercenaries he had beaten up a few days ago. The guy even looked a little like a weasel. The weasel-looking man immediately got angry. "The name's Dylan." Aaron told him to hurry up and answer, or he would punch him 2 more times. Then someone up ahead said, "It's already dark. I heard there's a small village ahead, so we'll spend the night there." When Aaron heard there was a village nearby, his eyes narrowed slightly. An hour later, the group arrived at the village. But they soon realized there wasn't a single person there. Had all the villagers run away? Someone guessed, could this have been done by demons? The moment he said that, someone cut him off. "Don't say such morbid things right now." At the same time, Dylan noticed Aaron had left the group. He immediately chased after him. "Boss, where are you going?" Boss, wait for me." "Brother Aaron, wait for me." As he passed by one of the carriages, the woman inside gave a faint smile. A moment later, Dylan kept following closely behind Aaron, and this place reminded Aaron of certain memories from the past. He had once given a book to a child. The child smiled warmly and said, "Thank you, Sir Knight. When you come back next time, you have to play with me." Suddenly, Aaron stopped walking, and Dylan accidentally bumped into his back. At Aaron's feet, there was a pool of blood. Dylan noticed it too, but at that moment, Aaron was staring ahead in shock. "Hey, Weasel, whatever you do, don't look up." Unfortunately, Dylan still looked up. What came into view was row after row of hanging corpses. His jaw nearly dropped on the spot. The next second, he collapsed to the ground and started dry heaving. Eren, on the other hand, had long since grown used to scenes of blood and death. But what Eren didn't expect was to hear a strangely familiar voice. Captain Eren. Eren immediately turned around, trying to see where the voice had come from. A woman in a long dress was standing behind them. Eren couldn't understand why she had come to a place like this. It was Lady Vivian, the same woman he had seen earlier that day. But right now, something about her expression seemed off. After running into Lady Vivian, Eren and Dylan returned to the group. Dylan was clearly shaken by what he had seen earlier. Even with hot soup in front of him, he had completely lost his appetite. He couldn't understand how these people could still eat after seeing something like that. But why were there so many corpses displayed throughout the village? At that moment, someone walked over and said, "Those are offerings. What you saw was a ritual where humans are sacrificed to demons. Only you two haven't eaten dinner. Would you like some wine?" Eren refused, because alcohol would dull his senses. Dylan didn't refuse, but if he dared throw up again, he was finished. The old man's name was John, and he was the person in charge of this escort mission. He had never met Eren before. Eren said he wasn't a mercenary. He simply worked in a town and had been temporarily sent here. In short, John told them to eat more, because this journey might be much harder than they imagined. Just then, Vivian and Knight Ben happened to pass by. The group could not help talking about Vivian. They had heard she was called the Flower of the East. Although they had seen her earlier, that young lady really was unbelievably beautiful. John already knew this carriage escort mission was not simple, but he never expected the daughter of Cassidy City's lord and a knight to be inside the carriage. Eren couldn't help thinking back to what had happened earlier. At that time, Lady Vivian had suddenly appeared behind them. She said she had simply passed by while taking a walk. Staying in the city had become too suffocating. So at her father's suggestion, she decided to travel to Burt City. Eren wondered if the father she mentioned was the Lord himself. Just then, a hand interrupted Vivian before she could continue speaking. The person who stepped in was Knight Ben. The more you know, the heavier your responsibility becomes. So, guard Eren. You only need to know what falls within your duty. Eren was still bothered by one question. Why would the Lord send his daughter to Burt City? At that moment, John said, "You seem pretty calm. There are demons nearby. Aren't you scared?" Eren sneered inwardly. Back when he was on the mercenary battlefield, he had run into plenty of demons. Those things weren't even a warm-up for him. But putting that aside, they had a knight with them, so why should they fear demons? Knights were elite forces specially trained by the Empire to fight demons, and as long as Eren had this sword in his hand, even if there was only the slightest chance of victory, he could survive. So no matter what happened, he wouldn't be afraid. John finally seemed to understand. So you're just an arrogant fool. Still, he sincerely hoped Eren would keep winning every battle. Time passed quickly, and the porridge in the pot was soon finished. Then, Eren arrived at a certain place. He gently picked up a book from the table. This was a book he had personally given to a child long ago. It had been quite some time since he last saw that child, and he wondered whether the kid had grown taller. But at that moment, a figure suddenly appeared behind him. Eren instantly sensed movement at his back. He drove an elbow straight into the figure's head. But what he saw next made him freeze in surprise. The figure that had appeared behind him was actually a zombie. Its eyes were filled with a vicious glare. When it tried to turn around and attack again, Eren swung his sword once more. That single strike ended it immediately. But Eren couldn't understand why a zombie would appear in this place. Suddenly, Dylan's scream came from outside the door. He kept shouting, "You stinking monster, get away from me." The next second, a sharp blade sliced through the zombie's neck. That scared Dylan half to death. When he looked up, he realized Eren had arrived. Dylan immediately hugged Eren's leg and cried, "What's wrong with you? How could you leave me alone in the middle of the night?" Eren asked him where everyone else had gone. Dylan sobbed and wailed. "Those guys are way too weak. Whether they're mercenaries or soldiers, they're all sleeping like logs right now. No matter how hard I shout, they won't wake up. It's like they've been hit by sleep magic." A thought suddenly flashed through Eren's mind. If this were really magic, then he and Dylan shouldn't have been completely unaffected. That meant the problem had to be the porridge. Someone had drugged it. It looked like their goal was to capture someone alive, and that target was most likely Vivian. But right now, Dylan was more worried about his own safety, because at that moment, they were already surrounded by zombies. Eren immediately pushed Dylan away. These slow-moving zombies would make the perfect warm-up before he dealt with the real demon boss. The next second, the aura around Eren changed instantly. He swung his sword down, and a wave of sword energy tore through the area. The zombies in front of him couldn't block that strike at all. They were cut down like weeds. After all, Eren was once the king of mercenaries. Handling a few zombies like this was nothing to him. That long-forgotten feeling reminded Eren of his days on the mercenary battlefield. Right after that, dozens more zombies appeared and surrounded him. No one knew how much time passed, but eventually, every last zombie had been wiped out by Eren. In truth, these zombies had once been ordinary villagers. They had simply been turned into monsters by demons. Soon, Eren heard movement behind him. He hadn't expected one more to slip through, but when he saw who it was, his entire body froze. The zombie could barely move properly, dragging itself across the ground with both hands. It had a mop of blonde hair. That hair color was so recognizable that Eren immediately guessed its identity. It seemed Holland really had grown a lot. Damn it. Those demons had turned a child into a zombie. It looked like Eren had no choice today. 2 years ago, while hiding from the Empire's pursuers, Eren had taken shelter in a small village. Memories of the time he spent with Holland suddenly surfaced in his mind. The boy always called him a knight. Iran often told him to stop calling him that. But Holland had read in books that knights were strong and handsome, and to him, Eren was exactly that kind of person. Out of everyone he had ever met, Holland believed Uncle Eren was the strongest and most handsome, so he insisted Eren had to be a knight. For such a little kid, he was surprisingly good at flattering people, and every time Eren patted his head, Holland looked incredibly happy. Those days really had been nice. Eren remembered that back when he first came to the town, he had grown very fond of that little brat. But he never imagined that after so long, the reunion would turn out like this. Holland had become a zombie. Even after Eren settled down in Cassidy, Holland still came to visit him often. Eren once told him that there was a place in town called a library, and it was filled with books. He heard that the librarian spent all day buried in piles of books. So Holland made up his mind. One day, he would become a librarian too. That job really suited a bookworm like him, so Eren told him to work hard for it. At that moment, Eren had already swung his sword down. Someone once said that demons fed on human fear. But after that strike fell, Holland was still completely unharmed. Because Eren simply couldn't bring himself to do it. He remembered the time Holland came to him with his face beaten to a pulp, saying his father had beaten him just because he told him he wanted to become a librarian. But his father only wanted him to work in the fields. People said demons fed on human fear, but Eren thought that was wrong. What demons truly devoured was human despair. Eren dropped the sword in his hand. Then, he pulled Holland into his arms. He said he wasn't a knight at all, because a real knight would never let the people around him get hurt. Then, Eren gently tightened his hand. Holland's arms fell limp. Eren was nothing more than a guard in a small border town. And in the end, he had failed to protect Holland. Right after Eren ended Holland with his own hands, a burst of noise came from behind him. Dylan shouted, "Boss, we're here." As it turned out, he had gotten so angry that he beat up all the sleeping men and forced them awake. Then he ordered the mercenaries to wipe out the remaining zombies. At that moment, Holland's eyes were still open. Eren reached out and gently closed them for him. "Rest well, kid." He hoped Holland would never have to face anything like this again after death. Suddenly, a thunderous boom came from behind them. Eren slowly picked up his sword and walked toward the explosion. He would avenge Holland no matter what. At the place where the explosion had come from, a battle was already underway. Knight Ben had already taken down several assassins. He had heard that someone in Cassidy City was after the young lady, which was why she had been secretly sent to Burt City. But he never expected that even after leaving the city so quietly, they would still be found. Still, his duty was to protect Lady Vivian. As a knight, Ben would never abandon the sword in his hand, even if his next opponent was an extremely vicious demon. Knight Ben told the demon to back off immediately. But the demon only gave a nasty chuckle. "This knight sure talks a lot, but even if you're stalling for time, your wound won't heal. That dagger was coated with deadly poison. And you ate quite a bit of that stew too, didn't you? That drug should be making you very sleepy by now. Do you really think you still have a chance to win?" Knight Ben panted heavily and said, "No wonder you're so ugly. Just looking at you tells me you only know how to use dirty tricks." That instantly enraged the demon, and countless eyes opened across its arm. Then it lunged straight toward Knight Ben. "You really don't know your place, Knight. I show you a little mercy, and now you think you can act arrogant?" Knight Ben was startled by the sight. He quickly looked at the sword in his hand and realized the amount of holy power he could use was only about half of normal. He couldn't gather much power at all, and it was all because of the poison. The demon would never let such a perfect chance slip away. Knight Ben instinctively dodged while trying to strike the demon's weak point. Soon, Knight Ben found an opening. He forced his numb, aching muscles to move and thrust his sword forward. The strike landed and slashed straight across the demon's head, but in the next second, the demon grabbed Ben tightly by the throat. It turned out that opening had been exposed on purpose. Looks like you knights aren't that smart after all. The demon applied a little pressure, and Knight Ben coughed up blood. But at that exact moment, the demon's eyes widened in shock. Eren had appeared behind it, without anyone noticing, and he had come here to avenge Holland. Eren swung his sword and cut off the demon's head in one clean strike. At that moment, Eren was furious. "You bastard, just accept your punishment." The demon looked completely confused. Who the hell was this guy? It immediately turned around and attacked Eren. Eren raised his hand and blocked the strike, but his entire body was still blasted away. Right after that, the demon let out a loud roar. The head Eren had just cut off actually regenerated. It growled in anger. "I was seriously wounded by someone who isn't even a knight, and I even wasted such precious blood. This pisses me off. Before the blood meant for the sacrifice runs out, hand over that girl." Eren slowly stood up. "Holland has been turned into a zombie. You probably don't even know who he is, but that doesn't matter. I said I would avenge him, so you're dying today." With that, Eren charged forward again and faced the demon head-on. Their battle became extremely intense. Eren's body was knocked away by the demon once more. But at the same time, Eren carved a deep wound across the demon's chest. Eren didn't rush to stand up. Instead, he waited for the demon's body to recover, because only after it recovered could Eren cut it down again. The demon finally lost its temper. "Where the hell did you come from, you annoying fly?" Soon, it realized something was wrong. The eyes on its arm had already begun absorbing its own blood. If this continued, the demon itself would be consumed. At that moment, Eren spat the blood from his mouth. He said, "What the hell are you doing? I thought you were tough at first, but you're just a weakling." When the demon heard the word weakling, it could no longer hold back its rage. But Eren was even angrier than it was. He dashed straight in front of the demon. "This strike is for Holland." The demon was starting to feel afraid. "You lunatic, who the hell is Holland? What are you trying to do? Why are you fighting this hard?" And this man was strange. He clearly wasn't a knight, yet he was absurdly powerful. Suddenly, Eren's eyes widened. He hadn't expected another expert to be hiding here. He immediately turned around and raised his sword, blocking the incoming attack. And the attacker was John. "I didn't expect you to be more than just a big body. You're actually pretty capable." Eren had been wondering when John would finally show himself, but he didn't expect him to appear while Eren was fighting the demon. John chuckled. "So you aren't stupid after all. You're pretty good at reading the room, but from the way you look, you seem slow and not very bright." He shouted at Eren, "I can't believe you are hiding your true strength." But Eren hadn't been hiding anything. He was simply observant. The villagers had only recently been turned into sacrifices, and the escort group just happened to arrive at the village right after that. Naturally, the person who deserved the most suspicion was John, the man in charge. Soon, Eren and John's swords clashed violently. Meanwhile, the demon tried to use this chance to keep restoring its power. In only 3 breaths, its arm had fully regenerated. But at that moment, the eyes on the demon's arm suddenly spoke. "Too late. I no longer need your body." The demon immediately begged, "Please wait. I can still be useful to you." But no matter what it said, the other presence no longer cared about it, because it had already found a far more delicious body. With a sharp clang, the sword in Eren's hand was broken by John. Eren cursed on the spot. What a piece of junk. John also felt it was time to end this. He said, "You big bastard, just die already." But he never expected Eren to counterattack with the hilt of his broken sword. That strike was no weaker than a punch, because all its force was concentrated into one point. With a thud, John dropped to his knees. He never imagined he would run into a monster like Eren here. At the same time, Eren looked at the real monster in front of him. So in the end, it had still been devoured by the demon. The person from earlier was already gone. All that remained was a body with a giant eye on its chest. The demon burst into laughter. Its true self had actually been hiding inside this body all along. "Poor fool, answer my question. Next, I'll do everything I can to take your body. What can you possibly do to stop me?" Eren sneered inwardly. Back on the mercenary battlefield, he had survived countless brushes with death. Did this low-level demon really think it could possess him? Then, Eren threw away the broken blade in his hand. He charged forward and said, "You may not know this, but even though I'm not a knight, I might be far more terrifying than one." In an instant, Aaron appeared right in front of the demon. He grabbed the eyeball on the demon's chest with both hands. Then, he opened his mouth. He bit down hard and tore off a chunk of flesh. "I'm going to chew this disgusting giant eye to pieces." The demon screamed, "You bastard, stop it." But deep inside it was thinking, perfect. This was exactly what it wanted. The demon seemed to see Aaron's memories. The companions Aaron once had on the mercenary battlefield appeared in the demon's mind. These people had all been important to Aaron. One woman saw her companions arguing and laughed softly. She was the mage Everly. Then, another woman appeared in the scene. She was the most important person to Aaron in this world. Stop messing around and give him his money back. Back then, Aaron was still a handsome young man. Although the team argued almost every day, they were still surprisingly close. At that moment, one of his companions patted Aaron on the shoulder. He smiled and said, "Captain, you haven't forgotten, have you?" His back was already covered with blades and arrows. "You said you'd survive no matter what. You haven't forgotten that promise, right?" The demon almost wanted to burst into laughter. These memories were so delicious. These experiences were so delicious. Just as the demon was absorbing Aaron's memories, Aaron suddenly woke with a start. Behind him, Knight Ben said, "You finally woke up. You were unconscious for a long time. Are you all right, Captain Aaron of the Guard?" Aaron said, "So you're still alive, Knight? I thought the demon had already eaten you." Knight Ben replied, "That should be my line. Your presence kept getting weaker. I thought you were already dead." But at that moment, Aaron realized his body had completely recovered. The only problem was that he couldn't quite remember what had happened before. Knight Ben said that after he woke up, he found Aaron sitting here, and Aaron had been lying in the same place as that demon. He said, "Don't tell me you had nothing to do with this. I would never believe that." Aaron obviously wouldn't admit anything, so he simply said he had no memory of it at all. Still, with the demon dead, the situation was naturally in their favor. But speaking of that, why were those demons targeting their clueless young lady? Knight Ben laughed. "Do you always speak so rudely about nobles? Also, you don't need to know that much." In any case, Ben felt that he owed Aaron a huge favor. He smiled at Aaron and said, "Now, please allow me to properly introduce myself. I'm Ben, a knight of Burt City. Thank you very much, Captain Aaron." But Aaron didn't want to get too involved with him, so he simply said, "You're welcome," and left it at that. Time quickly moved to the next day. That day, they first burned all the zombies. Those idiots had sacrificed an entire village to summon a demon, all just to take the life of the Cassidy heiress. Aaron felt that something about this wasn't simple at all. Maybe he needed to be more careful from now on. After all the bodies of the dead were cremated, the entire group turned back toward Cassidy City. They decided to publicly claim that the demon had been dealt with by Knight Ben. After all, aside from Aaron and Ben, there were no other witnesses. That was good for Aaron too. If outsiders learned that he had come into contact with a demon, the church would definitely step in to investigate, and the situation would only become even more troublesome. In any case, Aaron had managed to survive this incident, but it still hit him hard because Holland was dead. Still, he should be able to receive a decent bonus this time. So, at least he had earned something. Suddenly, Dylan popped up behind him. "Boss, why are you walking so fast?" Aaron hadn't expected him to still be alive. He thought Dylan had died long ago, but somehow, the guy had hidden among the corpses and survived. It seemed he was much tougher than Aaron had imagined. Aaron knocked him away with an elbow and told him to stop clinging to him. Time quickly moved to the next day, and Aaron stared at the mirror in disbelief. At first, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. But when he looked carefully, it was true. There really was an eye on his chest. The eye slowly opened. "You're awake this early?" To Aaron's shock, it could even speak. He couldn't accept this at all, and immediately let out a scream. Aaron quickly pulled out his dagger. Without hesitation, he stabbed himself hard, but it felt like stabbing steel. There was no reaction at all. The eye said, "That feels nice. It's been so long since someone scratched me like this. Try a little higher too." Aaron nearly died from shock. He had never experienced anything like this before. "You bastard. Shut up." Downstairs, the tavern owner heard the noise and felt confused. After struggling for a while, Aaron realized he couldn't get rid of the eye at all. He said, "You must be that demon, right?" Thinking about it now, Aaron felt unbelievably stupid. He had actually bitten off a piece of the demon's flesh with his mouth. No wonder he had lost his memories. The demon told him not to misunderstand. This had nothing to do with Aaron's own will. It only happened because the demon had tried to take over his body. Aaron told it to get out and possess someone else, or he would dig out the flesh around it too. But the demon said that wasn't something Aaron could decide, and it needed time to meet its nest. Aaron asked how long that would take. After thinking carefully, the demon said it would probably need about 100 years. Aaron was too lazy to waste more words, so he stabbed the eye on his chest with his sword. The demon secretly rejoiced. Calm down first. Being possessed by me isn't as bad as you think. It seems I must properly explain something to you. Today I'll show you exactly what kind of being I am. The next second, a green light appeared inside Aaron's room and wrapped around his sword. That surprised Aaron. Could this be the legendary holy power? This was a power only knights were supposed to use. Knight Ben had used the same power before. But Aaron never expected a demon to be able to draw out holy power. Yet in the very next second, Aaron was speechless. The holy power suddenly vanished. The demon looked completely exhausted, but it refused to admit it. Did you see that? I've proven my value. Gradually, it slowly closed its eye. This guy was way too weak. Aaron had actually been possessed by something like this. It was honestly embarrassing. Just then, a loud bang came from outside the door. The tavern owner had come upstairs at the worst possible time. If she discovered this, Aaron would be finished. The owner told Aaron to come down quickly, saying someone was looking for him. The people who came were from the monastery of the Cassidy City Church, and they seemed to have business with Aaron, but one of them rudely pushed the tavern owner aside. I don't have time to wait for him. He should be on the second floor, right? He shouted. Knight Ben is looking for you. You commoner. Hurry up and come over. Stop dragging your feet. The next second, Aaron punched him straight in the nose. Aaron said, why does your face look so punchable? It makes me want to beat you to death with one punch. I'll come out once I'm ready. You can lie there and wait for me. A moment later, Aaron came downstairs. The tavern owner was very happy to see him. She even told Aaron to come back early, because she had recently learned a massage technique that could make people feel happy. But the price was way too high, and Aaron had no interest in buying it. The tavern owner looked hurt. Then I'll only charge you 40 copper coins. The monastery people coming for Aaron today had scared him half to death. As it turned out, Ben was the one looking for him. Aaron guessed that maybe Ben wanted to give him part of the reward for defeating the demon. After all, they had talked about this yesterday. Knight Ben had asked, Captain Aaron, are you saying you want to give me all the credit for exorcising the demon? Aaron nodded. If you feel bad about it, just share some of the reward with me. I'll never refuse money. Ben laughed. I understand. Once I receive the reward, I'll definitely call you over. Although he was a knight, he was surprisingly considerate. But speaking of that, holy power was the power that destroyed evil and upheld justice. It was supposed to be a strange ability only knights could obtain. Yet now Aaron could use it too. Knights were chosen and trained personally by the Empire, and only the most qualified people could become one. But no one had ever truly studied how knights were actually trained. That was what Aaron had always believed. But the demon's spell felt strangely similar to holy power, and something about that felt off. Aaron was already getting impatient to split the reward, so he asked Quarter Noble how much longer it would take. The man said, we're almost there, commoner. He looked confused. What does Quarter Noble mean? It meant half of half a noble, since he was the illegitimate son of a noble's illegitimate son. The nickname suited him perfectly. Quarter Noble looked like he was about to cry from anger. That bastard. One day I swear I'll kill him. Soon, they arrived at their destination. It was the Sun Church Chapel. That made Aaron break out in a cold sweat. Was he going to get exposed here today? After all, he was currently possessed by a demon. After he entered, Knight Ben looked extremely happy. He said, you finally came. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Did I scare you by calling you over so suddenly? It hadn't exactly scared Aaron. He was only afraid the demon inside him would be discovered. At that moment, someone greeted Aaron. He was the priest of this chapel, and his name was Brian. Next to him stood another person named Joanna, a heresy inquisitor. Despite looking like a man, she was actually a woman. Both of them were famous for their devotion. Aaron looked at that woman and felt uncomfortable under her gaze. She seemed hostile toward him. Otherwise, why would she keep staring at him? Could she have discovered the demon inside his body? The next moment, Joanna suddenly swung her fist at Aaron. At the same time, Aaron drew his blade, but she only lightly touched him. Aaron was confused. What was the point of a punch with no hostility behind it? Brian spoke. A heresy inquisitor personally gave you a blessing. Inquisitor Joanna bowed to Aaron. As it turned out, her action just now had been some kind of religious ritual. But how was anyone supposed to know that from appearance alone? The demon inside Aaron became extremely irritated. This place makes me uncomfortable. Take me away from here immediately. Brian slowly said, I've already heard about what you did. You helped Knight Ben accomplish a great deal. This is a small token from the church, meant to honor your contribution. When Aaron saw the reward, he couldn't help feeling shocked. There were so many gold coins. As for the badge in the middle, he didn't really care about it, but he couldn't act like he didn't care, because in their eyes, that badge was far more important than the gold. So Aaron said, I can't accept this, it's far too valuable. Brian told him to accept it freely. He only hoped that if the Church of the Sun ever encountered trouble, Aaron would be willing to lend a hand. Many powerful people in Cassidy City were rumored to be corrupt, and Brian was said to be one of them. If Aaron followed him, maybe he could make a decent profit. After all, Brian was one of the true religious leaders of this era. From today on, you're the father of my faith. Long live the Church of the Sun. Joanna, standing beside him, was completely speechless. Was this guy an idiot? When Aaron returned, his squad member Kai was stunned. Aaron asked him, What's wrong? Why do you look so shocked? Is the armor I'm wearing not cool? Kai thought Aaron looked like a complete nouveau riche idiot, and instead of spending all those gold coins on armor, he should have used them to pay off his tavern debt first. At that moment, Charlotte said to them, You two now owe me another beer. Then Charlotte slowly set the beer down. Please enjoy. Charlotte was looking for Buri, but Buri wasn't on duty today. Could Charlotte be interested in him? After all, in a place like Cassidy City, it was hard to find a good man like Buri. Then Charlotte said that when she saw Buri, she would give him a massage. Aaron suddenly remembered what the tavern owner had told him earlier. Could her massage technique have come from Charlotte? But putting that aside, this beer was honestly a little disappointing. It was way too warm. Aaron really missed the cold draft beer from his old life. Charlotte suddenly remembered something. Have you heard? Apparently, a group of gambling cheats recently showed up in the city. There's an inn in District 5 called the Sickly Mermaid, right? A lot of outsiders have been staying there lately, so naturally, a few gambling tables started up. At that very moment, Dylan was inside one of those gambling games. He thought it was way too ridiculous. The result had been 6 points for 5 rounds in a row. He suspected the people across from him were cheating. Apparently, a little girl there had taken control of the entire dice game. Aaron set his beer mug down at once. What a bold little brat. A minor actually dared to run a gambling ring in his jurisdiction. As the guard squad leader of Cassidy Outer City, Aaron absolutely couldn't sit back and ignore this. Kai told Aaron not to go. He was worried that if Aaron caused trouble again, things would get messy. But Aaron didn't see it that way. This should clearly count as an achievement. Let's go, Kai. We're going to meet that little girl. After all, stopping gambling is everyone's responsibility. Hurry up and follow me. Besides, I'm itching for a game. It's been a long time since I gambled. After hearing about the gambling den from Charlotte, Aaron brought Kai to that place. The moment they entered, someone noticed Aaron and was immediately startled. But the look on Aaron's face seemed a little strange. This familiar casino atmosphere actually made him feel nostalgic. The man pointed at Aaron and said, So you aren't here to shut the game down? And didn't you quit gambling a long time ago? Aaron said he would leave after gambling one last time today. It was rare for him to have this much cash on hand. Then he casually pulled out a chair and sat down. Aaron took out a money pouch and said to the girl behind the table, You're pretty good at rolling dice. How about we play around? Let me see what you can do. Don't go easy on me. Then Aaron picked up a dice cup and began shaking it. To his surprise, he rolled a 6. It looked like his luck was pretty good today, but by coincidence, the girl also rolled a 6. That made Aaron even more interested. In that case, he would raise the stakes and double the bet. The girl seemed to think she had hooked a whale. She thought this man was truly stupid. Since he wanted to double it, she would double it too. It was her first time seeing someone this dumb, constantly raising the bet on his own. At that moment, a man behind her gave a light cough. That cough was the signal for the girl to spring the trap. The girl thought it was only natural for him to do that. After all, this man would never dream that she could use magic to change the dice however she wanted. She felt a little sorry, but very soon, she would make Aaron lose every coin he had. But in the next second, Aaron slammed his beer mug upside down on the table. Nobody move. Don't even think about using magic to cheat. That sentence startled the girl. She immediately stood up. Do you have any proof? Of course, Aaron had proof. She must have changed his dice into a 4. So the number she was about to roll would also become a 4, ending this round in a draw, right? Using such a cheap trick meant she had seriously underestimated Aaron. When he opened the dice cup, his result was also a 4. Aaron said, I'll bet all my money and one of my hands. You used magic to change the dice. If you don't dare keep gambling, then get lost. This kind of thing was far too common. They were using a low-level little mage like her to run a dirty gambling scam. The man behind her immediately pulled out a dagger. I thought some idiot had walked in, but it turns out you already know who we are. If you don't want to die here, hand over all the money you just won and get out. Aaron said, looks like you people don't know me at all. Anyone around here who knows me would never do something this stupid. Still, gambling dice with the little girl was pretty fun. Then Aaron took out a gold coin. How about we play one final round? This is a genuine Church of the Sun gold coin. It's worth at least 500,000 copper. That should be enough for the stake, right? When they saw the gold coin, their faces changed instantly. The boss behind her looked confused. You clearly know we cheat. You also know this girl is a mage. So why are you still gambling with us on purpose? What the hell are you planning? Aaron really didn't understand why they talked so much. If they were scared, then they shouldn't gamble. The word scared completely enraged the man. He immediately slammed an axe into the table. Fine. Then we'll bet that money and the girl's hand. You two can have your match. Kana, if you make a mistake, your hand is gone. They instantly surrounded Aaron. Aaron looked at the little girl. At your age, you should be going to magic school. Why are you hanging around with people like this? Did you start learning magic and realize it wasn't right for you? Or is your family too poor, so you're trying to earn tuition for magic school this way? Kana was extremely nervous. After all, her own hand was on the line. Stop saying random things. You're distracting my spell. You don't understand anything. So stop talking nonsense and focus on the game. Aaron nodded. Judging by her reaction, he had probably hit the mark. The boss cursed inwardly. This idiot had been bragging so much earlier, but he was obviously just trying to stall. Unfortunately for him, now that he had discovered their true identity, they had no intention of letting him leave alive. After exchanging a look with the boss, the other thugs nodded as well. Just as the dice cup was about to be opened, Aaron asked one more question. Little girl, can you use the kind of magic that can chill a beer? Kana looked confused. I should be able to. I just need to use basic freezing magic. The moment she said that, Aaron grinned from ear to ear. The problem that had bothered him for so long was finally solved. In that case, there was no need to keep gambling. She had already passed. When the boss heard the word passed, cold sweat broke out all over him. What was wrong with this guy? His aura had completely changed. The next moment, Aaron threw the dice cup straight into his face. In this dice game, 2 dice were shaken inside a cup, and after adding the 2 numbers together, the side with the larger final digit won. The men completely lost it. What the hell are you doing? Everyone, get him. This was also known as a warrior's wager. The game was quite popular in the Middle Ages. Aaron knocked a large man down with 1 punch. The reason it was so popular was because of a legend. Those blessed by fortune in battle would never lose. Bam, bam, bam. Aaron smashed several punches into the man's nose. At the same time, their boss also launched an attack at Aaron. He swung his axe down, but Aaron instantly dodged. An attack like that was slower than a turtle to him. Aaron said, "Hey, aren't you ashamed of yourself?" That sentence froze the boss in fear. A grown man surviving off a little brat. Useless medieval trash. Then, Aaron grabbed the boss by the throat. If you don't know what shame is, I can teach you myself. The boss looked like he was in agony, but he still believed victory was certain. Because someone had already appeared behind Aaron, and Aaron looked completely unaware. But the instant that person attacked, Aaron suddenly turned his head and faced the dagger head-on. Aaron chuckled. So you know how to use concealed weapons. Not bad. But instead of living this shamefully, why not die by your own companion's hand? With a sharp sound, the dagger stabbed straight into the boss's chest. Right after that, Aaron grabbed another man by the head. The little girl behind him stared at the way Aaron fought, completely stunned. This man was absurd. He was way too strong. He had taken down so many powerful men, all by himself, like a one-man army, while the men lying on the ground were nothing but stepping stones. Kai finally came over to break things up. Boss, seriously? Every time you play dice, you end up fighting. Apparently, that man was also a wanted criminal from the next district. So the rest could be left to Kai. Aaron walked over to the little girl. Little Fridge, come here for a second. Little Fridge kept begging, hoping Aaron would spare her. But then she froze, because Aaron continued, "You want to make money, right? As long as you help me make some cold beer every day, I can introduce you to a job. Before you can go to Magic Academy, I can also provide free food and lodging. If you're interested, come with me. I guarantee you'll like the work there." At that moment, the little girl stopped crying. She said, "Okay, I accept. I'll go with you." That day, Aaron was training like usual. The little cheat appeared behind him. But now, that little cheat had been renamed Mini Fridge. Aaron took the beer she brought over. Then, he gulped down 2 huge mouthfuls. That feeling was unbelievably satisfying. He had no idea how long it had been since he last tasted something like this. But speaking of that, how old was this girl? She said she was 12. Why was she so small for a 12-year-old? Was she a dwarf? At that moment, Charlotte walked over. "Hey Aaron, that little girl isn't your daughter, is she?" Hearing that, Aaron froze, and he did a massive spit take. "What the hell are you talking about? How could she possibly be my daughter? She's the little fridge I picked up." "No, wait, she's an ice mage. And aren't you short on staff here? Just treat her as a new employee and take good care of her for me." Charlotte nodded. Aaron does have a point. Besides, how could such a cute little girl possibly be the daughter of a brute like him? It must have been hard staying with this human trash for so long. "Big sister will protect you from now on. What's your name?" "My name is Kana." Charlotte gave a mischievous smile. "That's such a lovely name. By the way, Kana, how many cups of this cold beer can you make in one day?" When she heard Kana say she could make 300 cups a day, Charlotte started dancing with excitement. Seeing this, Aaron figured it was time for him to go to work. Aaron's daily routine was mostly the same. First, he would get scolded and warned not to beat people up again. Then he would inspect the fruit, or at least, that was what he called it. Of course, Aaron didn't have to pay for any of the fruit he ate. After that, he patrolled the market and maintained order in Cassidy City. One old man was clearly unhappy about it, but his wife immediately glared at him. She said, "You should be grateful he's watching this street. Without him, those old duds would have come back to cause trouble long ago." Finally, Aaron would politely collect a small toll from certain people. If they didn't pay enough, they wouldn't be allowed into the city. That was the unspoken rule between them, because they were smugglers, not proper merchants. Then, Aaron tossed them an apple. "Keep 1/3 of the money we collected today, and take it for drinks." His squad members immediately danced with excitement, and kept thanking him. Controlling the outer city entrance and properly searching everyone who entered was Aaron's job. But he noticed that almost no one was trying to enter the city today. Had someone been spreading rumors that his entry fee was too high? Suddenly, someone appeared behind Aaron. The man said in a gloomy voice, "The Canalia flower never withers." Aaron asked, "Did Scar send you to find me again?" The man immediately made a shushing gesture. "You must not speak that person's name so casually. He is the shadow of Cassidy City." Aaron had no patience for his nonsense. "Spit it out." The man said, "Recently, many unfamiliar outsiders have entered Cassidy City. According to our investigation, many of them disguise themselves as merchants and behave suspiciously. You may read this letter. It was written personally by the Shadow King." Aaron opened the letter and glanced through it. It said those people had entered the city 3 days ago, yet had never once gone outside, as if they were trying to hide their tracks. However, they can't deceive me. Scar, the Shadow King. My dear friend who remembers our oath. While I rule the shadows of Cassidy City, Aaron, you shall move in the light. Aaron crushed the letter in his hand. That guy is such an edgelord. He had been busy enough these past few days, yet Scar was still sending him this kind of nonsense. Aaron told the man to tell Scar to stop playing pretend. The man burst into tears. "Not only did you throw away the Shadow King's handwritten letter, you even called this playing pretend." Aaron told him to stop acting pitiful. Outsiders coming here only helped the economy. So wasn't that a good thing for them? What kind of serious incident could possibly happen in a small border city like this? Just then, a carriage appeared up ahead. So Aaron told Sleepyhead beside him to wake up. This carriage looked wealthy, which meant it was time to make money. The two of them immediately stopped the carriage. Aaron said, "Hello, please stop according to regulations. We need to carry out a routine inspection." But the person in front of him startled Aaron. The man had shifty eyes, and just from his face alone, anyone could tell he was extremely suspicious. He was either a crooked merchant or a criminal. Aaron was already wondering whether he should simply arrest him on the spot, but to his surprise, Sleepyhead actually knew him. Sleepyhead said, "Captain, he's a merchant sent by the Mosaic Merchant Guild to the Cassidy branch. His name is Dolinoir. We met not long ago during an entry inspection." Dolinoir immediately gave Aaron a respectful smile. "So this is the guard captain? What an impressive man. I almost thought you were a knight." As he spoke, he quietly handed Aaron a money pouch. Protecting the city day and night must be exhausting work. Aaron gritted his teeth. He never expected this shifty-eyed man to do something like this to him. This man was unbelievably sharp. What a talent. And Aaron loved talented people. "From now on, you can call me boss." At that moment, Sleepyhead said shyly, "Do you still have the thing you brought me last time?" Dolenoir said, "Of course," then took out a bottle. Aaron had no idea what the two of them were doing, and he couldn't tell what that thing was. But Sleepyhead seemed to treasure it like a priceless item, and even told Aaron not to steal it from him. That left Aaron speechless. "Buddy, no matter what, we still need to check what you're bringing into the city." Aaron's fingers tightened slightly. "There's nothing suspicious loaded in this carriage, is there?" While they were talking, Aaron noticed something on Dolenoir's neck. When he looked closely, he realized it was a tattoo. Just then, Sleepyhead looked inside the carriage with disgust. "Captain, you need to see this." When Aaron opened it and looked inside, even he froze. The carriage was filled with goat corpses. From the look of it, they weren't being sent to a slaughterhouse, because the meat was already rotting. If this continued, forget the meat. Even the carriage itself would be ruined. Aaron couldn't understand why they would bring something like this into the city. Dolenoir looked at Aaron with a gloomy expression, as if thinking there was no choice but to do that. This guy really was a crooked merchant, and a rotten one at that. But he had paid way too much, and he definitely knew how to handle people. So, for the sake of his new buddy, Aaron let him enter, and even welcomed him to visit Cassidy City more often. After that shifty-eyed man left, he couldn't help letting out a cold laugh. "You people are truly stupid. You actually welcomed me inside. Before long, I'll turn Cassidy City into a living hell." After he left, Aaron said to Sleepyhead beside him, "His name was Dolenoir, right? I wonder if he's afraid of heights." Sleepyhead clearly didn't understand what that meant. Recently, many unfamiliar outsiders had entered Cassidy City. According to the investigation, quite a few of them disguised themselves as merchants and behaved suspiciously. It seems Scar had actually been right, but once someone entered the city, they were in Aaron's territory. This little brother Dolenoir had better protect himself well. After all, in the Middle Ages, a person was either innocent or sentenced to death. After a pointless day of work, Aaron and his teammates went to the tavern for drinks, only to quietly learn some news. To his surprise, Charlotte, the most beautiful woman in town, was actually going on a date with one of his teammates. That made Kai beside him furious. Why would someone even ask out a big idiot like you? But the location of their date was apparently an execution ceremony. Did they think that place was an amusement park? That made Aaron feel once again that people in the Middle Ages really hadn't been enlightened. Bori was still thinking about the plan for that day. "Right. I'm planning to bring her the bread my mother makes." When Aaron and Kai heard that, both of their wrists trembled. They asked, "You don't mean that fish head bread your mother makes, do you?" Just thinking about it made them sick. The two of them started retching at the same time. That taste was something you only needed to experience once to never want it again. Buri became very angry. "What's wrong with my family's fish head bread? It tastes pretty good." It felt rude to say this about his mother, but that damned fish head bread was basically oven-heated dog crap. Just then, someone suddenly walked into the tavern. He said, "The camellia flower never withers." Before he could even finish speaking, Aaron punched him to the ground. Then Aaron left behind one sentence. "Scar is looking for me. Good luck with your date." Aaron dragged the dark-skinned man all the way into an alley. Up ahead, someone had been waiting for a long time. "Welcome, my dear friend. I've been waiting for you." This man was Scar, the self-proclaimed shadow of Cassidy City. "Do you still remember our oath? You stand in the light, while I remain in the dark. Together we shall control Cassidy City." Aaron gave him a vicious glare. "If you say one more word, you can start preparing to die. How dare you come bother me while I'm eating? And what the hell is with that stupid hat? You even made everyone wear these clothes and hats?" Aaron ordered all of them to take the clothes off. With no other choice, the men all removed their hats. Aaron had already told Scar before to stop playing dress-up because it was seriously boring. But Scar told him to listen carefully. He said, "Do you remember what I told you in the note before? I said the outsiders who recently entered Cassidy City have all been acting suspiciously. Whenever they move at night, they deliberately avoid us." That was why Scar suspected something would happen soon, and they needed to strengthen their guard. Aaron grabbed Scar by the ear. "Who do you think you are? Just because you say something will happen, does that mean it definitely will? The guard will handle it. You people need to stop sticking your noses into everything. Besides, I heard you haven't been going to work at the woodworking shop lately. Your father, Jason, is looking for you. Are you really fine with that?" The moment Scar heard that his father was looking for him, he immediately turned around and headed home. "My dear friend, we shall meet again next time." In truth, Aaron did care about what Scar had said. Something really might happen soon. So for the next few days, he decided it would be better to stay cautious. After that, Aaron went to another friend's house and gently knocked on the door. A response soon came from inside. The two people who appeared before him were his good friend, the executioner Darius, and Darius's son, Ted. When Ted saw Aaron's armor, his eyes filled with admiration. "Uncle Aaron, your armor looks even cooler than before." Aaron shared some of the apples he had taken from the street with them. He had brought them over especially for the two of them, but he noticed that their home was still as quiet and lonely as ever. The executioner politely said, "Please sit down. I'm sorry you always have to worry about us." Aaron told him not to be so polite. Those apples hadn't cost anything anyway. He had stolen them. Darius had heard that the 6 criminals going to the execution platform this time had all been caught by Aaron, and he sincerely praised him for being impressive. Aaron said it was nothing impressive. It was all just luck. But speaking of that, he never expected Darius's son to have grown so much. Children really did grow fast. They grew up in the blink of an eye. Darius laughed. "That's true, but hasn't the tavern owner confessed to you yet? Everyone in town knows she likes you." Aaron told him to stop joking, then handed him a money pouch. "Nopo asked me to bring this to you. She said it's the deposit for this commission. The Lord will also attend this time. He wants you to show your finest technique." Darius said he understood, and told Aaron to let the Lord know there was nothing to worry about. This time, Darius planned to bring his son along as well. After all, Ted was about old enough to start preparing to inherit the family trade. The son of a butcher could only become a butcher when he grew up, so it seemed only natural for Ted to become an executioner too. Once he reached the right age, he would have to take the position. But passing such a shunned profession down to the next generation made Darius feel deeply guilty. After all, his wife had left him in the end because of this job. At that moment, Ted cut open an apple. He turned to Aaron and smiled. "Uncle Aaron, come eat some apples." Aaron said, "You eat first. I'll talk with your father for a while." After that, they talked about Hans. Hans really was a pity. Such a good kid had become a criminal overnight. But here, anyone could become a criminal. And it had nothing to do with character. Because this damned medieval world had no human rights at all. Maybe Aaron would become a criminal someday too. If that happened, Darius had better cut his neck cleanly with one strike. Darius burst into laughter. "Don't worry, I'll send you off with my finest technique. I absolutely won't leave you in any pain." Ted also ran over. "Uncle Aaron, you should commit your crime a little later. That way, I can be the one to cut off your head." Then, Darius left him with one final line. "In that case, we'll meet again at the execution ground." Aaron left with a smile. He obviously didn't think something like that would really happen, so he didn't take it to heart. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a group of people had gathered. Because of Scar's earlier activities, his people had been watching them closely, making it difficult for them to move in secret. On top of that, there had been the recent commotion outside the city. That damned bastard had such a powerful demon backing him, yet he still failed in the end. What a useless piece of trash. Dolenoir told the others to lower their voices. "In a few days, they'll hold an execution in the square. We'll use that chance to take the heart of the Cassidy heiress. It's our only opportunity." The men all nodded. "Yes, Lord Dolenoir. But sir, is that guy behind us asleep, or is he dead?" At that moment, Sleepyhead muttered in his sleep, "Captain, let me sleep a little longer." Soon, the day of the execution arrived. That day, Mini Fridge once again used magic to chill the beer. Everyone found the sight unbelievable. They immediately pulled out their money pouches and rushed to buy cold beer. At the same time, Charlotte launched a new product, strawberry jam bread, best enjoyed with wine. Business exploded instantly, and even 2 of Aaron's companions were dragged over to work as servers. Charlotte ran over to Aaron and praised him as a genius. "Thanks to your suggestion, all the customers came running to me, and Mini Fridge's beer is incredibly popular too." This was exactly what Aaron had expected. Even if he tried to explain it, these people would never understand. After all, these barbarians already liked eating bread that was supposedly stained with the blood of executed criminals. Charlotte asked Aaron why he had taken Kana in back then. Aaron's explanation was that he wanted to drink cold beer. But Charlotte was far too sharp. She could tell at once that this was only part of the reason. She said, "You rarely care about other people. Come on, tell me, what was the real reason you took her in?" For a moment, Aaron didn't know how to answer. He thought back to his previous life. Back then, he had once taken in a stray kitten from the roadside. That kitten was exactly like Kana was now. Charlotte couldn't understand it at all, and goosebumps rose all over her body. The image of Aaron raising a cat was simply impossible to picture. Just then, one of Aaron's squad members came over looking wronged and complained, "Our squad was supposed to be off today, so why did we have to gather? And why are we working as servers?" Aaron said, "I recently received a tip-off letter. Just think of yourself as undercover agents. If you see anyone suspicious, report to me immediately." The moment the squad member heard the word undercover, he instantly became excited. Aaron asked, "But why are only you and Poole here? Where's everyone else?" He said, "Buri's on a date with Charlotte." As for Sleepyhead, he's probably still sleeping. At that moment, no one knew that a bead on Sleepyhead's table had turned black. After finishing his work, Aaron went to the basement. To his surprise, Ted was already there. When Ted saw Aaron arrive, he looked very happy. Aaron asked why he was in this place, and why he was alone. The gentle Ted had noticed that his customers were nervous, so he came over specially to comfort them. So he shouted toward the people inside the cage, "Dear guests, please don't be nervous or worried. My father has already chopped off hundreds of heads, so his strikes are extremely clean." However, those demon-like words made the prisoners tremble all over. Just then, one of the criminals suddenly moved. He came over to Aaron's side and kept mumbling, as if he wanted to say something. But Aaron had no idea what he was trying to say. Still, Aaron had no intention of wasting words with him now, because it was almost time for the dear customers to hit the road. In the blink of an eye, it was time for the first execution. The executioner's gaze turned cold. Then, with a sharp slash, the blade came down. The moment blood began to drip, the entire crowd went wild. The violence they had been holding back for so long seemed to finally find an outlet. After that, Aaron brought the next prisoner onto the execution platform. Executions in the Middle Ages were partly meant to release the violent urges that had built up inside the citizens. But more importantly, they displayed the ruler's authority and ability to govern, making them a ceremony with strong political meaning. However, as Aaron looked at the execution platform in front of him, he started to feel uneasy. Milpo had already told him before that this execution was especially important. The criminals Aaron had caught this time were the killers who murdered a noble from Mount Calor, and the Lord was preparing to establish relations with Mount Calor. That meant this execution was essentially a diplomatic ceremony, and absolutely nothing could go wrong. Every time Nopo said something like that, Aaron felt an ominous premonition. But just then, Aaron seemed to notice someone suspicious below. He focused his gaze on that person. When the man slowly removed his hood, Aaron recognized his face. That face was extremely familiar to him. Once Aaron saw someone like that, he would never forget them. It was the same man he had stopped at the city gate 2 days earlier. Aaron didn't understand why his new buddy had appeared here, or why he was wearing such a wicked smile. At that exact moment, an explosion suddenly erupted. All the citizens were stunned, completely confused about what had just happened. Was there a bomb? But before they could react, the explosions continued. Aaron immediately sensed that something was wrong. Someone was definitely trying to break the prisoners out, and the scale of the explosion was enormous. Unfortunately, Lord Pulpes himself was blasted into the air. Aaron had always thought that old man looked a little like a bird, but he never expected him to actually fly. No wonder people say your looks dictate your lifestyle. Then Aaron suddenly realized a very serious problem. If the Lord died in this accident, his head was basically going to part ways with his body. At this point, Aaron actually admired the executioner a little. Even in this situation, he could still keep working. The executioner said, "As an executioner, how could I allow anything else to distract me? I'm simply doing my best to finish my duty." After hearing that, Aaron smiled slightly. "In that case, shouldn't I carry out my own duty too? After all, I'm the guard captain." With that, Aaron plunged straight into the flames and rushed toward the source of the explosion. At that moment, Aaron rushed straight into the center of the flames, where everything had already fallen into chaos. No one had expected such a sudden disaster to break out during the execution. Aaron's companions told everyone to stay calm and stop running around. All they had to do was evacuate in an orderly way. Charlotte had no time to care about her stall anymore. She directly hugged Mini Fridge and refused to let go. Meanwhile, Aaron rescued 2 children from the fire. "Why are you still here? Hurry up and leave." Then, Aaron asked whether they had noticed anyone suspicious. For example, someone wearing a cloak. Just then, Aaron spotted a suspicious figure up ahead, and that person was exactly the one he had been looking for. The shifty-eyed bastard. Right now, that man was carrying Lady Vivian in his arms. Aaron really didn't understand what was going on with this woman. Why was she always such a popular target? And this time, she was the target again. But he had no choice. He had to save her first. So Aaron told his squad members to hurry up and follow him. They were going to arrest the criminal, and if they failed to catch him this time, they could all start preparing to lose their heads. But there were too many people in the crowd, and since evening had arrived, the sky quickly darkened. Because of that, they lost track of the target. One of the squad members behind him started jinxing things again. This isn't going to end up like the Hans case, is it? Where we do all that work for nothing? Then Aaron's squad members heard another piece of news. The Lord was still alive. Somehow, that old man had been blasted into the air and still survived. He was surprisingly tough. Other than that, there was one more thing. Apparently, a knight had been killed after getting caught in the explosion. Aaron sneered inwardly and said loudly, "I knew those knights were unreliable and untrustworthy. They aren't even as dependable as our guard." But when he turned his head, things suddenly got awkward. Because a very unreliable knight was standing right in front of him. The man did not seem to care about what Aaron had just said. "It's been a long time, Aaron." Aaron felt too embarrassed to keep going with what he had said earlier. After all, this was an old acquaintance, so he still had to show him some respect. Still, Aaron was confused. "You're clearly a knight, so why is it that every time you show up, you're always the one getting beat up? I'm seriously starting to doubt your identity." Knight Ben said he had been careless. The criminal was a black mage. Then he lowered his voice and said, "There's a traitor among the soldiers. You need to be careful." Hearing that, Aaron suddenly froze. But before he could react, a scream rang out. Aaron and his squad members immediately realized what was happening. That voice should have been Kai's. At that moment, Kai was in danger, and there was a small blue man standing in front of him. Kai seemed to be in terrible pain, screaming hysterically. But this scene completely stunned the person across from him. The small blue demon could not understand it at all. "You only took one punch. Aren't you overacting a little? Besides, I didn't even hit you that hard." Of course, Kai was fine. He was only trying to draw someone over. "Please wait a moment." The small blue demon grew furious and had no idea what Kai was talking about. The next moment, a thunderous boom rang out, and Kai was overjoyed. He was finally here. It looked like this guy's ears really were sharp. Aaron had appeared at some point and was now gripping the small blue demon tightly by the throat. Aaron said, "Hey, wait a second. I think I heard my companion screaming. Was that you?" Under Aaron's grip, the small blue demon couldn't resist at all, and he cursed inwardly that Aaron was a monster. This guy's grip strength was way too strong. He was practically inhuman. Aaron was confused. How did someone this weak dare attack this place? Who gave him that kind of courage? And this guy felt a little different from the demons outside. Aaron had never seen a demon like him before. Right before the small blue demon nearly died, Aaron released his hand. After all, this guy was no threat to him, and Aaron wanted to have a proper chat with him. Aaron said, "Hey, you should understand my strength now, right? If you don't want to experience that again, you had better tell me everything honestly. Otherwise, I'll start using force." The moment Aaron finished speaking, the small blue demon immediately spilled everything, non-stop. Apparently, the black mage was the real mastermind, and that guy wanted the young lady's heart. He was a complete monster. One of Aaron's squad members laughed beside him. Looks like this guy's survival instinct kicked in. He's surprisingly honest. As the small blue demon kept talking non-stop, Aaron felt he had heard enough. In other words, this guy was just a demon contractor. As for why the black mage needed the young lady's heart, he didn't know that part either. Aaron waved his hand and told his companions to take him away. Since he was so obedient, Aaron would spare him this time. The little demon was extremely happy. "Thank you, you really are a good person." Aaron's companion also chatted with him happily. "Next time you see us, you should cooperate like this right away. Otherwise, you really will die." Based on the current clues, that new buddy of Aaron's was the black mage, and he was using demon underlings like little followers. But what exactly was the young lady? And what was the purpose of her heart? At that moment, someone called Aaron from behind. "Captain, so you were here." The person who came was Sleepyhead. Aaron asked if he had only just woken up now. He also warned Sleepyhead not to sleep that long next time, because at this point, it was practically an illness. Sleepyhead began approaching Aaron and said, "Captain, do you know how painful it is to be unable to sleep? When you're severely sleep-deprived, even with your eyes open, you never feel truly awake. It's like wandering through a dream, or like a fog has settled inside your head. Everything becomes blurry." As he said that, he had already drawn the dagger hidden behind his back. Then Sleepyhead's expression suddenly changed. Aaron reacted instantly and drew his sword, blocking the attack. Aaron had no idea what was going on. Could Sleepyhead be the traitor knight Ben had mentioned? But why did it have to be one of his own teammates? Sleepyhead stared at him coldly and said, "Good night, Captain. I'll send you into a dream you'll never wake from." As it turned out, Sleepyhead had experienced a famine when he was young. Back then, there was no food. Forget tree roots. Some people even started eating rats. And during that time, rats were already considered delicious meat. But eating rats could spread disease through the body. That was why many people died during that famine. But then, one day, meat suddenly appeared on the table. Even Sleepyhead's family finally tasted meat again after so long. Everyone was eating happily. But Sleepyhead had something weighing on his mind. That night, he still couldn't sleep. Because his body was weak, he couldn't help with the work or earn a share of the meat. Everyone else was useful enough to work. From that day on, Sleepyhead could never sleep well again. He said, "Captain, do you know how worried I was every single day? Everyone had meat to eat, but they were hiding something from me." At that moment, Aaron blocked his attack with one swing of his sword. Aaron had heard Sleepyhead talk about this before. But that wasn't a reason for him to make a deal with criminals. Sleepyhead slowly took 2 steps back. He said, "Captain, do you think I'm strong? It must be because I finally slept properly. That's why I became this strong. And it's all thanks to those candies Dolanoir gave me." Magic began radiating from his entire body. It seemed he had obtained demonic power, and both his muscles and agility had improved dramatically. But speaking of that, this brat had never trained properly. Yet he had always been naturally good at fighting. The next moment, Sleepyhead charged at Aaron again. But even with that power, he was still no match for Aaron. After all, Aaron was once the king of mercenaries. Sleepyhead moved extremely fast, but Aaron reacted even faster. With one sidestep, he dodged the deadly strike. And that was Sleepyhead's greatest weakness. He lacked experience. Every attack he made was completely seen through by Aaron. Still, this wall was way too fragile. It was practically made of paper. Right after that, Sleepyhead's palm once again released an enormous amount of demonic power. He roared and threw a punch at Aaron. In truth, Aaron understood Sleepyhead's pain very well, because Aaron couldn't sleep properly either, so he forgave his teammate Sleepyhead. This time, he would let him finally have a peaceful sleep. Then, Aaron pierced straight through Sleepyhead's chest with one strike. He said, "Please forgive me too." At that moment, Sleepyhead's eyes seemed to clear a little, and he returned to the way he used to be. It was as if he saw his older brother. A faint smile appeared on his face. He said, "I'm so sleepy, and so tired." As he was about to die, Aaron whispered, "This time, sleep well. I'll send you off with another lullaby." The next moment, an explosion suddenly erupted here. To Aaron's surprise, Dolanoir had escaped through that dog hole from before. He placed Lady Vivian on a stone platform. His expression became extremely serious. "Those damn people really are stubborn. I can't believe I was reduced to crawling through a dog hole, but all of this was worth it, because very soon he would obtain the young lady's heart. Once he had it, he would gain beloved by Mana. All he had to do was dig out that heart." Then Dolanoir raised his dagger without hesitation, preparing to eat the heart. But at that moment, Aaron's voice sounded behind him. "So this is where you were. No wonder I couldn't find you. I want to know how you found that dog hole. Did Sleepyhead tell you?" Aaron said, "Buddy, let's have a proper talk." His tone was calm, but his killing intent had already become almost tangible. Dolanoir didn't take him seriously at all. "I was wondering who it was. I thought a knight had caught up to me." Then he activated demonic power as well, and his arm rapidly swelled. A snake appeared behind him. Why would a little guard try so hard? For a few measly coins a month, he ordered the snake behind him to bite Aaron. At that moment, Aaron quickly drew his sword. With one strike, he cut the snake apart. But Dolanoir's attack wasn't over. Behind Aaron, a wolf suddenly appeared. It bit down on Aaron's arm, and blood splattered everywhere. But Aaron didn't care at all. With one horizontal slash, he shattered the wolf. However, this seemed to be curse magic, not an ordinary attack. Aaron felt his body becoming incredibly heavy, and every movement was painful. If this dragged on too long, it would be bad for him. Dolanoir laughed. "So you aren't just a big body after all. But can you handle Quilentel's Shadow Legion?" Dolanoir's aura began rising higher and higher. Aaron couldn't help laughing inwardly. It was only a few animal shadows, yet this guy was acting like a god. If he wanted to call this a legion, then the scale was way too small. That comment truly enraged Dolanoir. He stopped talking and directly ordered the animals to attack Aaron. In principle, Aaron should have captured him alive, but Dolanoir had dragged Aaron's subordinate into this incident, and even sold Sleepyhead to a demon. So this was absolutely unforgivable. Aaron dashed straight to the snake's head. "Now I sentence you to death, you piece of trash." With one strike, Aaron killed the venomous snake and cut down the giant bird and wolf as well. but all of them were merely illusions formed from demonic energy. The most important thing was defeating Dolenoir himself. At that moment, Dolenoir's expression turned grim. Why was a mere guard captain this strong? With no other choice, he unleashed his ultimate move. Those who bear the weight of punishment shall be judged as sinners. He raised both hands, preparing to suppress Eren with demonic energy. One small demon after another crawled out from under Eren's feet, quickly wrapping around his arms. In only a few moments, they grew into their complete forms. Dolenoir said, "Well, you're only a guard captain, and you still want to oppose me? This is a triple curse that even knights struggle to break free from." But Eren didn't take it seriously at all. The next second, Dolenoir was completely stunned. All those demons had been cut apart by Eren. Eren said, "My hearing isn't that good. What did you just say? Something about how this was supposed to go? I didn't hear you clearly. Want to say it again?" Dolenoir no longer had the mood to repeat himself. He shoved his hand into his pocket. He said, "I won't let you act arrogant any longer." The next second, he opened a bottle, revealing a finger inside. The moment the bottle hit the ground, that finger actually began to squirm. Eren found this rather interesting. Could this be a demon summoned using a bishop's finger? The demon let out a roar. With one swing of its tail, it smashed a crater into the ground. Dolenoir burst into laughter. A mere guard captain dares act arrogant in front of me? But Eren's body was already rushing toward the demon at high speed. Power began gathering continuously in his hand. He swung his sword down, striking the demon's teeth. But his attack couldn't hurt it at all. It seemed ordinary methods really wouldn't work. Then Eren took a deep breath. After filling his lungs with air, he actually dove straight into the demon's mouth. With one loud gulp, the demon swallowed Eren whole. When Dolenoir saw this, he burst into laughter. He couldn't believe someone this stupid existed. What kind of idiot willingly jumped into a demon's mouth? Eren didn't understand what this guy was laughing about. After all, he had successfully infiltrated the demon's body. Then Eren lightly tapped the demon on his chest. "Hurry up and come out." The demon's eye appeared behind Eren. "What? Are you looking for me?" It seemed the demon really was awake. In that case, this would be easy. Ever since it used that power last time, it had been silent for a long time. Now, it was time for it to hand that power over again. The demon smiled. "You really are as rude and slow as ever. But that's what makes this interesting." As it spoke, it wrapped Holy Tower around Eren's sword. It would lend Eren its power. But there was one condition. Eren gave it a look to continue. What was the condition? The demon said Eren wasn't allowed to tell any other demons that it could use holy power. If Eren told anyone, it would never help him again. At that moment, Eren's sword began to shine. Eren could feel it clearly. It felt like being struck by lightning, with a tingling sensation running through his entire body. This was holy power. He couldn't help smiling. This power really was good. It was delicious. Then Eren began swinging his sword wildly inside the demon's stomach. After several strikes, the demon had been cut all over. It let out a massive roar, as if it could no longer endure Eren's holy power attacks. Outside, Dolenoir had no idea what was happening. Why did a guard captain possess holy power? A power only knights should have. At that moment, a thought crossed his mind. Could Eren also be a knight? In just a short time, the demon was knocked to the ground by Eren. Dolenoir never imagined that this ordinary-looking guard captain would possess such terrifying strength. He couldn't help stepping back. "Were you sent by the royal family? But how would they know about this plan? I never received any information." At that moment, Eren looked like a terrifying Grim Reaper in his eyes. Eren said, "You want to know who I really am? Then go ask the god of death." The next second, Eren cut off his head, moving so fast that Dolenoir couldn't feel any pain. A few drops of blood landed on Eren's neck. Even though Dolenoir was already dead, Eren still told him his cover identity. "I'm a guard captain, but my true identity is the king of mercenaries. That's someone even greater than a knight." After dealing with Dolenoir, everything finally became much quieter. Eren silently returned his sword to its sheath. He had avenged Sleepyhead. After all, Dolenoir was the one who had ruined him. But just as Eren was about to leave, traces of magic suddenly seeped out of Dolenoir's mouth. Then a magic circle appeared and lifted his head into the air. Eren turned back in surprise. He knew this magic. It was a spell that only activated after death. He never expected such a troublesome problem to appear after everything was already over. Eren wanted to take Lady Vivian and leave immediately, and this was exactly why he hated dealing with demons. The next moment, A pillar of purple flame shot into the sky and blasted Aaron away. Fortunately, he had already saved Lady Vivian. But now, Aaron had run into the most troublesome problem yet. Behind him, an incredibly dangerous being seemed to have appeared. Its body was enormous, and 2 horns grew from its head. The pressure coming from it was terrifying enough to make anyone suffocate. Right now, Aaron could only carry the young lady and get out of there as fast as possible. The demon stomped down and the entire ground shook. If Aaron got stepped on, he'd probably be crushed to a pulp. That made him extremely annoyed. Every time, these things exhausted him like crazy, and he never even got overtime pay. Just then, Aaron heard someone roar, "My lady." The next moment, a beam of light struck the demon straight in the head. Someone shouted, "Lady Vivian, I'm here to save you. Where are you?" And behind that woman, there was another old acquaintance. Her sword was also wrapped in holy power. The 2 of them were preparing to work together and kill the demon. After several attacks landed, the demon was struck by multiple solid blows. Meanwhile, Aaron was hiding behind them, quietly observing everything. As it turned out, the ones who had arrived were Knight Ben and the Heresy Inquisitor, Joanna. Lady Vivian, who was in Aaron's arms, slowly woke up. Because she had just regained consciousness and was still confused, she mistook Aaron for the kidnapper. She was just about to scream when Aaron punched her on the head. As a result, Vivian immediately passed out again. Then Aaron took out the handkerchief he had stolen from Kai and prepared to cover the young lady's head with it, because she looked absolutely miserable right now. And with that, Aaron's mission was basically over for the time being. Today had been seriously exhausting. The guard captain could finally clock out. Goodbye. Meanwhile, after a brutal fight, Ben and Joanna finally defeated the demon. Knight Ben looked deeply distressed. "Where's my lady?" The Heresy Inquisitor Joanna looked around. Finally, she spotted the young lady's location. But why was the young lady lying there? The 2 of them rushed over at incredible speed. They were about to ask if she was all right, only to see a bump on her head and a rag covering her face. Could the young lady already be dead? By this time, Aaron had already returned to the tavern. The people there still had no idea that the young lady had been rescued. Aaron didn't explain anything. He simply told Mini Fridge to make him a beer. Another week passed, and everyone began talking about how the Lord had been blasted into the air, yet somehow survived completely unharmed. His daughter had also returned safely, though she had a bump on her head. In addition, thanks to Aaron's false testimony, Sleepyhead's death was recorded as an unfortunate sacrifice during a battle against demons. Because of that, his family received a generous reward. His companions all sighed in regret. Sleepyhead really was brave, but reckless. He actually dared to fight a demon alone. What an idiot. Still, in a way, he had fulfilled his lifelong wish. Sleep well, Sleepyhead. Sleepyhead was truly brave, facing a demon head-on like that. I should learn from him. Aaron slowly raised his glass. Here's to Sleepyhead. And Sleepyhead's sword would remain here forever. Because of Aaron, Sleepyhead managed to preserve his final honor. At that moment, Kai said, "I heard a new guard is coming to take over Sleepyhead's position. He should be reporting in today." As soon as he finished speaking, a voice rang out from the entrance. "Boss, Brother Aaron, where are you? I'm Dylan, the new member of Squad 4 of the Outer City Guard. Everyone can call me Weasel." Aaron was stunned. He never expected the newcomer Kai mentioned to be him. He even started regretting killing Sleepyhead. If only time could go backward. Dylan laughed. "I didn't expect to be this connected with you, boss." The 2 people beside Aaron looked at Dylan and felt he seemed fairly easy to get along with. But his constant talking was definitely annoying. Aaron accidentally said what he really thought. How did this piece of trash get in? At that moment, Charlotte placed a beer on the table. Her expression was full of disgust. Yes, pure disgust. After all, she and Dylan had a conflict before. Then Charlotte immediately turned away, and Dylan hurried after her to apologize. Charlotte turned back angrily. "What do you want?" Dylan stammered, as if he wanted to say something. This time, his attitude was very sincere. "I'm sorry. I truly apologize for what happened before. I hope you can forgive me." That thug-like behavior was basically a mercenary tradition. If I didn't join them, all of them would have cast me out. Charlotte looked at Dylan. Then she gave a small snort. "Your name is Dylan, right? I run this inn, and almost every day I have to deal with trash customers like you. But if you dare mess around again, I'll put a hole in your forehead." That scared Dylan badly. "I'm really sorry." Aaron felt a little impressed by Charlotte. She was no joke. Then, Aaron told Dylan to come over. "Take this sword. It belonged to my good brother. From today on, you're a member of Squad 4 of the Outer City Guard. But I expect you to work properly. Otherwise, you're dead. Dylan's face immediately filled with joy. I'm so touched, boss. I'll definitely work hard. That day, Dylan officially joined the Outer City Guard amid a warm welcome. However, in the future, he would always think that he should have run away back then. At this moment, though, he had no idea how deeply he would regret this decision. That day, Aaron took Dylan to work. Aaron's job was very simple, extorting people who violated the entry rules. Dylan watched in complete shock. Every person who passed by left a large pile of silver coins with them. Aaron said, "See? This is basically how you do it. After all, we just had a demon incident not long ago, so inspections must be strict." Dylan looked absolutely shocked. Not only were they robbing silver coins from coachmen, they were also casually beating people under the excuse of checking for demons. So this was what guard work was like. This was amazing. He was perfect for this kind of work, and didn't need anyone to teach him. After working all morning, Aaron felt that Dylan was truly talented. He was incredible, a natural-born extortion expert. Now, even if Aaron did nothing, silver coins would roll into his pocket on their own. That was actually a good thing. But, just then, Aaron sharply noticed someone speaking in an unfriendly tone. "Who do you think you are? You've got no sense of your place." That person seemed to be scolding Dylan. Aaron saw the Fenareo family crest carved on the carriage. Dylan still had no idea how serious the situation was. "I don't care about any of that. Hurry up and hand over the silver." The moment he finished speaking, Aaron twisted his neck. "Are you seriously trying to get yourself killed?" Aaron tossed Dylan aside. "This guy is a rookie. He doesn't understand anything. He only started working today, sir." But when Aaron looked inside the carriage, he noticed the people inside looked extremely unfriendly. To his surprise, there were no nobles in the carriage at all, only soldiers. Aaron immediately changed his attitude. "Because of the recent demon-related incident, the Lord has specially ordered us to thoroughly inspect every traveler passing through the city gate. Your current behavior is no different from insulting the authority of the Lord of Cassidy City." The man didn't expect Aaron to switch so quickly. Dylan instantly came back to life. "Didn't you hear what my boss said? Hurry up and hand over the silver, you clueless idiot." The leader also didn't expect Aaron's attitude to change so drastically once he realized there were no nobles inside. With no other choice, he handed the silver to Aaron. "Please don't misunderstand. That wasn't what I meant earlier." Aaron said, it's fine. Everyone says the wrong thing sometimes." Dylan asked, "What did he say earlier? Why don't I remember?" After finishing that little shakedown, there was still one more thing. Aaron immediately turned around and punched Dylan in the back of the head. "The Lord specifically ordered us to check visitors like this to see whether they are possessed by demons. Anyway, I wish you all a safe journey." The man was furious. This was clearly intentional. Those two bastards would pay for this. He would make them regret it, and every silver coin they robbed from him would be spat back out. In the blink of an eye, afternoon arrived. Aaron was called over by Kai again, who said someone from the church was looking for him. Aaron had no idea what was going on. Why did people from the church keep looking for him every few days? Because he had a demon inside his body. Aaron truly didn't want to go to that place. Had they already discovered the demon inside him and decided to eliminate him? At that moment, the Heresy Inquisitor suddenly opened the door. That scared Aaron badly. Fortunately, the priest behind her chuckled. "You finally came, Aaron." That had really frightened Aaron. He never expected the Heresy Inquisitor to scare him this much, just by standing in the doorway. The Inquisitor said Aaron had fought a great battle against a demon. She said she had seen everything clearly at the time. According to her, Aaron was the one who rescued the young lady from the demon. Aaron felt extremely nervous, afraid she had discovered that he had used demonic power. The priest had called Aaron over this time to reward him, and he had prepared some small gifts. Aaron immediately brightened. Could it be like last time? That would be so embarrassing. When it came to devotion, he was nothing compared to the priest. But, to Aaron's surprise, this time he wasn't given money. Instead, the priest tied a scarf around him and happily said, "Now you're an honorary monk." This really was an unexpected gift. But honestly, he would have preferred being showered with money like last time. What Aaron never expected was that the priest had one more favor to ask. The Heresy Inquisitor wanted to see Cassidy City, so the priest asked Aaron to show her around. The moment he finished speaking, the priest slipped away without even looking back. It seemed he had only called Aaron over so he could dump this errand boy task on him. One day, Aaron was definitely going to beat him up. Then Aaron glanced at the Heresy Inquisitor again. He really didn't want to do this kind of errand, and if she found out he was possessed by a demon, she would definitely smash him with a mace. So, Aaron asked the Inquisitor if she was hungry. saying there was a restaurant in the city that he often visited. Then, he brought her to the fish head bread shop. If he wanted to shake her off, this was his only option. This was the signature dish made by his teammate's mother, fish head bread. But after taking only one bite, the Heresy Inquisitor's expression instantly turned awful. That look made Eren burst into laughter. Please don't hate him. He was possessed by a demon, so how could he possibly walk around with a Heresy Inquisitor? But in the next second, Eren could no longer laugh. The Heresy Inquisitor stared at him with an awful expression. Aren't you going to eat? Eren blurted out. Of course I am. Then the two of them kept eating, and both Eren and the Inquisitor practically finished the fish head bread in one go. Because if they didn't finish it all at once, that taste would keep surging back over their taste buds again and again. Both of them were barely holding on. Finally, they managed to finish the fish head bread. That flavor was pure torture. Eren had to admit it. The Heresy Inquisitor was impressive. But then the owner suddenly asked, "Would you like another serving?" The Heresy Inquisitor was instantly terrified. She rushed straight out the door, probably to find somewhere to throw up. That really had been an incredible duel. But to Eren's surprise, the auntie placed another fish head bread in front of him. She said, "You two looked like you enjoyed it so much, I was afraid it wasn't enough. So I made one more. This one is on the house." Looking at the bread in front of him, Eren thought he would rather have his head smashed open by a mace. Then he also found a place to throw up. Sometime later, when his companion saw him, he couldn't help sighing. This is getting more and more ridiculous. Because Eren's clothes were becoming more extravagant by the day. Eren had finally discovered the benefit of this outfit. As long as he wore this cloak, many shops would give him discounts. Being an honorary monk was actually pretty nice. But Kai beside him looked deeply troubled. The captain became an honorary monk. This empire is doomed. His companion said, "The Lord sent some people to get along with us, but we ended up clashing with them. The punishment might become heavier." As soon as he finished speaking, someone strode in aggressively. The man shouted, "You clueless guard bastard." Perfect timing. Eren said, "If it's one-sided, does it really count as a fight?" Good. I was just thinking of teaching him a lesson. Right now, Eren was being angrily questioned. "You actually used that cheap lie to hit me in the back of the head." At that moment, Eren started counting to 3, which scared his teammates behind him. His teammate hurriedly said, "Captain, as an honorary monk, you can't cause a commotion over something like this." But the man kept provoking him. "So when it's time to face me head on, you get scared? A mere guard captain like you should know your own place first." That sentence truly angered Eren. He skipped 2 entirely and counted straight to 3. Then with just one punch, he sent the man flying. His body rolled across the ground again and again. Eren corrected his companion. "This isn't a conflict. This is one-sided violence." His companion was shocked. "Is a one-sided violence even worse?" Eren said, It's fine. I'm an honorary monk." After some time, the man finally woke up. But by then, Eren had already dragged him to the city gate. The man was deeply shaken. Eren was truly powerful. Someone like him shouldn't be stuck as a mere guard captain. With that level of strength, he was more than qualified to serve as a noble's private soldier. So it definitely wasn't that he was weak. Eren was simply too strong. Kai, standing beside them, was speechless. He couldn't believe the man had already started making excuses for his own weakness. At that moment, Eren went back to extorting coachmen. When one of them didn't take the hint, Eren punched him directly. The soldier beside him couldn't understand what Eren was doing. Kai explained, "The squad leader says this is a way to identify demons, but I think he's probably just extorting people." Just then, the person in front of Eren suddenly changed form. He really was a demon. The demon roared, "A mere human dares to hit me?" That shocked both of them. They never expected this method to actually work. Even Eren himself hadn't expected it. He had only used this trick to extort people, but somehow it really worked. Although the demon Eren discovered was only third-rate, just 1 week after the demon attack, another demon appeared in Cassidy City, throwing the entire city into chaos. On that day, Eren witnessed something terrifying. The powerful figures of Cassidy City had actually gathered in one place. Every single one of them carried an incredibly powerful presence. They looked like they could kill demons with just a glare. But the most terrifying one was still the Heresy Inquisitor, Joanna. Eren even started to feel a little sorry for the demons. Next time, he definitely shouldn't provoke her or make her eat fish head bread again. When Eren arrived at the inn, he found Dylan there too. That confused Eren. Why was he here? Charlotte angrily said to Dylan, "This has nothing to do with you. Go help in the hall." Then she turned to Eren with a gentle expression and explained, Dylan kept coming over to apologize, so I told him that if he felt that guilty, he could come help at the shop. After all, the inn had become extremely busy lately, and that was all thanks to Mini Fridge's cold beer. Aaron gulped down a huge mug. Of course, business would improve. Beer was meant to be served cold. It was honestly a waste to use Kana's magic only as a fridge. Magic books were expensive and hard to find, but Aaron started wondering if he should help her improve. Mini Fridge immediately had a bad feeling. Meanwhile, somewhere else, two people were driving a carriage into the city. At that moment, a rough voice came from behind the boy. "This carriage is way too shaky. If you two dare try anything before entering the city, damn it, we're just looking for someone. Did we really have to come to this countryside? The boss is way too stubborn. Once he wants something, he never lets go. We absolutely can't disobey the boss's orders. Everyone shut up and control your expressions. This isn't Mount Kaler. If you act like a thug here, we won't be able to clean up your mess." The boy looked at Levi beside him. Even if they had no choice but to give these people a ride because they were being threatened, if they were exposed during the inspection, the two of them would probably be in danger too. Levi told him not to worry. The inspections in Cassidy City were only for show anyway, and 1 silver coin was enough to pass. So he believed that once they entered the city, they would be safe. After that, they just had to bring those people inside and make them leave quickly. Soon, they arrived at the city gate, where Dylan had already been waiting for quite some time. They followed the old routine and prepared to offer a bribe. Levi felt confused. There used to be only 5 guards, so why were there suddenly so many more? Normally only 2 people handled this place. Still, it was lucky that the thug-like squad leader wasn't here. Following the old rule, he took out 1 silver coin as the entry fee. But then Dylan said, "Wait a sec. There are 3 soldiers this time too, right? Then of course we need to charge more. We have to split some with them too." Levi was speechless. What was wrong with this guy? Poole told them to hurry inside and ignore the newcomer. Levi felt uneasy. If they were caught here, who knew what those people would do? No matter what, they had to enter the city smoothly. That afternoon, Aaron heard about something. Ever since he used that method to expose a demon, the sheriff had issued an order to change all inspection procedures. From now on, even people sitting inside carriages had to get out and be checked one by one. So Dylan told everyone in the carriage to get out for inspection. Then, without warning, he pulled out a wooden stick, and he struck one of them hard. Levi was startled. Why would he suddenly attack someone for no reason? As expected, this made the other side furious, and one of them prepared to rush forward and teach Dylan a lesson. But Dylan wasn't afraid at all. "This is my boss's territory." Then Dylan shouted, "There are demons here. All of these people are demons." A flying sword shot over at high speed. Then it pierced straight through that man's heart. Only then did Levi suddenly realize that all those people were no longer on the carriage. They had successfully subdued the suspicious individuals. What a great result. Those people weren't dead. They had only fainted and briefly gone into shock. At the same time, Aaron said it was time for him to leave. The city gate was probably already a mess, so he told Kai to go help out. As for Aaron himself, he was going to take Mini Fridge and upgrade her into a better Mini Fridge. But what Aaron didn't know was that a second group of people had also set their sights on Mini Fridge. At that moment, Aaron told Kana to come to his side. But Kana seemed very afraid of him. Aaron gave her what he thought was a friendly smile. "Ice Maker, please, come here for a second." Kana was startled. Then she stepped out and said, "My name is Kana. Please don't call me an Ice Maker." Aaron patted Kana's little head and asked what kinds of magic she could use right now. She said she could use magic dice, chill alcohol, and perform simple see-through magic. That left Aaron speechless. Did Kana learn magic from some gambling addict? Then Kana suddenly said, "I learn things very quickly, and I do them well." The owner even said I wash the dishes really well. Aaron was still wondering what was going on with her and why she suddenly sounded so excited. Then he heard Kana say, "Please don't throw me away." Aaron said, "Don't talk nonsense. Why would I throw you away? Anyway, you want to learn magic properly, right?" She said, "Yes, please give me any instructions you want. I learn very fast. I'm a magic genius." Those words reminded Aaron of someone. "You're asking how I learned magic? Why are you asking me that? Aaron, you're so dumb that you could never learn it. Anyway, I just wanted to learn and I'm a little smarter than everyone else." "No, I'm a genius." Kana really was strange. Why did it feel like she had been influenced by Dylan? Besides, there was one more thing Kana hadn't told Aaron. Right then, someone suddenly burst in from outside. That scared Kana badly. The person who came was Dylan. "We're finished, boss. All the people we caught escaped from prison. I heard one of the people arrested during the inspection actually bit through his wooden shackles and escaped. He even took down armed soldiers without a weapon. I was the one who knocked him out and arrested him back then. This is bad. What do I do? Is he gonna come after me? Aaron clicked his tongue. I don't give a damn what happens to you. I'll be fine either way. Anyway, let's head to headquarters first. Aaron told Charlotte to lock the door. Since Ice Maker had simple see-through magic, if anyone knocked, she should check who it was before opening the door. Then Aaron grabbed Dylan by the ear and left. 10 minutes later, they arrived at headquarters. Their superior immediately cursed at everyone. You useless idiots actually let those prisoners escape. At that moment, one colleague muttered, "That's why I suggested replacing the wooden shackles with iron ones." The superior said, "Iron shackles are expensive. If they were willing to break out of prison, then that rough inspection method must have worked. They could have simply stayed inside quietly. But this proves they had guilty consciences. Apparently, one of them came from Mount Calor and was infamous over there." Aaron was also curious how Dylan had managed to catch such a dangerous criminal. No wonder he was so scared. Just then, someone stepped forward. He said, "Everyone, please wait. Who's the guard captain here?" "You, the fierce-looking big guy. Are you the captain?" Aran froze. Did this guy just call him a fierce-looking big guy? Aaron grabbed his head. "You little brat, who taught you to talk like that?" The boy quickly said, "My master did nothing wrong. Please save my master." But who was his master? Aaron didn't know him at all. A colleague beside him said, "I heard Levi brought that man from Mount Calor here. Aaron, you should know him, right? He's the coachman who comes here for business sometimes. Apparently they were threatened last time." Aaron seemed to remember him. It was that stingy bastard Levi. Aaron said, "Kid, I sympathize with your situation. But once someone breaks out of prison, even if I know him, I can't let him go." At that moment, Levi was currently escaping with those people. They were preparing to rest for a while, since the guards were proving extremely difficult to deal with. Levi thought to himself, why did these people drag him out too? He had never planned to escape from prison. The other two were panicking as well. They never expected the guards to use violence during the inspection. But just then, another whistle sounded from the guards behind them. The moment they heard the whistle, the group lost their minds and fled in a panic. But Levi sensed something was wrong. They were clearly being herded in one direction. And at that moment, Aaron was standing right in front of them, completely alone. When the two men saw that there was only one person ahead, they instantly switched into battle mode. "We'll break straight through." The moment he finished speaking, Aaron grabbed him tightly by the throat. Then, Aaron slammed him hard into the ground. That scene left everyone else completely stunned. Levi broke out in a cold sweat. Could this guy be Aaron, the man known as the Thug? If so, they were in serious trouble. Someone behind him rushed forward with a wooden club, but Aaron blocked the club with ease. By now, Levi was trembling all over, because he knew exactly how terrifying Aaron was. Ignoring rules, enforcing the law with violence, all of that was normal for Aaron. Running into this demon while being treated as an escaped prisoner was the worst luck possible. Levi collapsed onto the ground in fear. He said, "Please don't come any closer, you'll really beat me to death." Aaron grabbed him and lifted him up. "Why are you screaming like that? And why did you escape from prison for no reason? You're so annoying. Your apprentice is right behind you. Hurry up and go find him." Only then did Levi see his apprentice, standing behind him with an umbrella. He shouted, "Hulis." Then he immediately hugged him. Guard Captain Aaron might be a foul-mouthed bastard with rough manners, and he might sometimes use violence like a thug. But perhaps he couldn't be judged only by his usual behavior. At that moment, Aaron asked his colleague whether they had found out which direction the fixer had gone. Then he received news that the man seemed to have headed toward District 5. That made Aaron feel something was wrong. Wasn't District 5 where the inn was? Meanwhile, the fixer had already arrived at the inn. At that moment, his eyes suddenly filled with shock. He immediately turned around to block an attack, but his body was still sent flying. Dylan shouted at the man in the hat ahead of him. "That's him. Beat him so bad his own mother won't recognize him." That man was Scar. "I'll never allow any criminal to run around this neighborhood without my permission. I'm the shadow of Cassidy City, Scar." With that, he launched an attack on the man, but the fixer suddenly appeared behind Scar. With one slash, he wounded Scar. It was obvious that Scar's strength was nowhere near enough against him. This scene also left the other two stunned. It seemed this guy was extremely strong. If the boss didn't come, they had no chance of beating him. The man said coldly, "I'm looking for a little girl. Have you seen a little girl with purple hair?" The next second, Aaron's teammate also began fighting him. The man threw a punch and somehow spun 360 degrees in midair. Even after flipping once, he still accurately struck Aaron's teammate. Seeing that the situation was bad, Aaron's teammate immediately told Dylan to run. Go find the boss right now. Only the boss can deal with him. Dylan ran desperately, thinking that even 3 of them together couldn't beat that guy. This was completely hopeless. Brother Poole, I'm really sorry. Even though you treated a third-rate mercenary like me as your own little brother, this time I absolutely can't listen to you. Because you can't die. So just as the fixer was about to kill Poole, Dylan suddenly shouted from behind him. Have you forgotten how I beat you so bad you were spitting teeth? Your brother got turned into human skewers. You idiot. To be fair, this move was brilliant. The fixer really was enraged. He instantly turned around, appeared behind Dylan, and thrust his sword forward. Dylan's body rolled across the ground again and again. He cursed inwardly. Damn it, where did that bastard boss go? His life really had been pathetic, but as long as he stayed alive, maybe he could still find something meaningful. At the same time, the fixer prepared to deliver the final blow to Dylan. Just as the sword tip was about to pierce Dylan's head, Dylan shouted, Aaron, you bastard. Why are you never here when I actually need you? A few drops of rain were kicked into the air. Then a fist the size of a boulder slammed into the fixer's face. The fixer's body was blasted away by the massive impact. Somehow, Dylan was surprisingly hard to kill. At that moment, he was almost moved to tears. Boss, you came just in time. You're really the best, boss. But Aaron stared at him with murderous intent. Did you just curse at me? I think I heard you say, Aaron, you bastard. Dylan was completely stunned. He could only lie on the ground and pretend to be dead, thinking he never expected his boss's ears to be that sharp. Aaron was speechless. Wow, you brat. Now you're playing dead? But now wasn't the time to deal with Dylan. The fixer patted the dust off his clothes. That punch just now didn't seem to have caused much damage. Aaron chuckled. So you're the weak little shrimp who got knocked down by my underling? Even if you got beaten, did you really have to get that dirty? There were wood chips on the other side too. The instant the fixer turned around, Aaron launched an attack. The fixer was truly speechless. You're clearly this strong, yet you still do something this underhanded? Aaron said, thanks for the compliment. You're way too naive, old baldy. Then Aaron kicked him hard in the stomach. Right after that, he grabbed him by the collar. Like tossing a rag doll, Aaron slammed him back and forth into the ground. Still, this fixer really was tough. Aaron couldn't understand how someone at this level had been knocked out by Dylan. And why had he come to a countryside place like this? The fixer said he was looking for someone. Then he asked Aaron whether he had seen a short little girl with purple hair. Aaron instantly understood. That sounded like Mini Fridge. He remembered that the people who had controlled Kana before were also from Mount Clear. Maybe they were all connected. Sending a fixer just for one shabby little mage was ridiculous. Aaron didn't know who sent him, but that person had to be incredibly stingy. The fixer looked furious. You seem to know her. Take me to her obediently, and I won't pursue this any further. But the moment he finished speaking, he felt a sharp pain in his body. Dylan had pierced straight through his chest with a sword. Dylan shouted, you bastard, how dare you have dirty thoughts about the little purple-haired girl? You must have a death wish. The fixer never imagined he would die here, and that the same person would be the one to subdue him again. He was just about to say he would kill Dylan, but his body had already collapsed weakly to the ground. Dylan really did play this move brutally, as expected of Weasel. Meanwhile, Aaron was exhausted. He had barely slept all day, and all he wanted was a beer to soothe his throat. On top of that, the rain today was pouring hard. Time quickly moved to the next day. Dylan was extremely proud as he talked about last night's battle. A giant bald egg that's stupid was no match for me and boss. After brother Aaron joined the fight, I stabbed that guy right in the chest, and his blood came pouring out. Then I stabbed him again, and his blood came pouring out again. At that moment, Aaron also came to visit Poole. He had even brought a gift for the patient. Their favorite fish head bread. Dylan was startled. You actually brought murder bread? Then, the bandaged man beside them said, did you buy 3? But I'm fasting, so I can't eat. The atmosphere instantly became painfully awkward. Poole then said, squad leader, now you have to eat one too. Meanwhile, the inn was extremely lively. That red-haired brat walked up to Mini Fridge. Miss, you're truly beautiful. But the moment Mini Fridge saw Aaron arrive, she immediately ran to his side. She brought Aaron a mug of beer. That was perfect, because Aaron needed something refreshing. Aaron asked her whether she had any goals. For example, what she wanted to become in the future, or what she wanted to do, like becoming a knight or a noble lady. Mini Fridge hesitated for a moment. Then, she said she only wanted to survive. That answer deeply surprised Aaron, but he knew Mini Fridge was not joking. So Aaron said, "All right, I'll work hard." "So you need to work hard too." After that, Aaron went to talk with Charlotte. Mini Fridge stood there in a daze, as if she didn't understand what Aaron meant by working hard. Then, Mini Fridge remembered what Dylan had told her before. If a boy says something like, "Miss, would you like to have some juice with me when you're free?" then smash him hard in the back of the head. That day, Aaron went to a bald man to buy medicine, but the medicine there seemed quite expensive. On top of that, the man spoke very rudely. Just as Aaron was about to get angry, a little bald boy behind him said, "He's an honorary monk. How can you charge him the original price?" He was personally nominated by Priest Brian and the Heresy Inquisitor, then officially appointed by our order as an honorary monk. With no other choice, the bald man gave Aaron half price, 50 silver coins per bottle. That made Aaron extremely happy. Was this the benefit of holy corporate monopoly? He was very grateful to the little bald brat. Thanks to him, Aaron had gotten a huge bargain. From him, Aaron heard that an important official was coming to visit this time. Then the boy said, "I still have other matters to handle, so I'll take my leave. Please be careful on your way, honorary monk Aaron." Aaron seriously wondered whether there were any normal people in this chapel. He had thought only weirdos like Priest Brian and the Heresy Inquisitor were here. As he was thinking that, Aaron noticed movement behind him. When he turned around, it was actually the very Heresy Inquisitor he had just been thinking about. This woman was seriously unbelievable. The moment he thought of her, she appeared in the fastest way possible, and she noticed Aaron too. Then, she slowly stood up and walked toward him. The Heresy Inquisitor approached Aaron at incredible speed. She came to his side and handed him the cake in her hand. Then, a faint smile appeared on her face. This person was truly strange. She handed him something without saying a word, then left. Still, the thing she gave Aaron was actually pretty sweet. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Guard Captain Manuel was holding a meeting with the squad members. The sheriff was currently furious, and he had ordered that none of them were allowed to take leave for an entire month. This news made the subordinates furious. "This is way too ridiculous. If you want to torture your men, at least know when to stop." Aaron didn't really care. After all, he usually just stood at the city gate, which wasn't that different from resting. But every time he saw Manuel, he wanted to punch him. At that moment, Aaron heard a colleague beside him say, "Have you heard? The eldest son of the Finero family will be coming here soon." "I think I've heard of him. Wasn't he the one who wanted to become a knight?" "Yeah, the eldest son who graduated from a famous academy but still failed to become a knight." First, the church called the monastery director here, and now they had invited the Finero family's eldest son. Trouble really was coming one thing after another lately. Then, Manuel said to Aaron, "By the way, Aaron, Nopo is looking for you." The moment Aaron heard Nopo's name, his entire body trembled. If she was looking for him, it definitely wasn't for anything good. Sure enough, when Aaron arrived in her room, he found Nopo smiling at him. But the more she smiled, the more uneasy Aaron felt. Nopo said, "Look carefully. This thing is called a door. Once you open the door, you can enter the space where everyone moves around. All we need to do is step through that space. Opening it is very simple. You just grab the handle, and the door opens." Aaron said, "Everyone knows that. Why are you explaining it again?" Then Nopo exploded in anger. "You say you know? Then why do you never open the door when you come in? Why do you keep smashing through the wall? Do you know how many walls you've already destroyed? Do you think this is fun? Is using the door too boring for your exciting life?" Aaron said he had no choice. He only smashed those walls because he was forced to. If he had been even a little later, his little brat would have been finished. Nopo was helpless and could only sigh. In any case, the repair fees for the walls Aaron destroyed would be deducted from his reward. The total bounty for the people he had arrested recently wasn't small, and this was what remained after the repair fees were taken out. Aaron stared at that single silver coin for a long time. Then he threw the coin back to Nopo. He said, "Consider this your tip. Go buy something good to eat and have a beer while you're at it. If a person stays locked in a room all the time, they'll get sick from being cooped up." Nopo snapped, "I'm not sick from being cooped up. I'm sick from dealing with you." After Aaron came out, his teammates immediately knew he had definitely been scolded by Nopo again. Aaron told them to stop talking about it and hurry up for patrol. Although legally collecting money during date inspections was much more fun, patrolling had its own unique charm too. After all, people in the Middle Ages caused trouble every day over all kinds of tiny things. Every time, Aaron would act as the mediator and tell them to calm down. "Both of you calm down. Whoever wins the fight is right, so hurry up and fight." Then Aaron and his companion would start betting on who would win. Still, some children were really annoying. The moment they saw Aaron, they would run away and say he ate people. Just then, Aaron noticed a few unfamiliar figures ahead. Those people all looked shifty, and a woman stood among them shouting, "Who was it? Who stole my silver spoon?" Kai immediately stepped forward and asked what had happened. The woman said, "You two came at the perfect time. Hurry up and judge this for me. These people stole my silver spoon. That spoon has been passed down in my family for generations." The man, who looked like a thief, said he hadn't stolen the silver spoon. The buck-toothed woman also said she hadn't stolen anything. "My family has a silver mirror. Why would I steal something as small as your silver spoon?" The red-eyed man also said he hadn't stolen anything. "I don't even know why she called us here. This is completely ridiculous." Kai, standing beside Aaron, felt there was no need to handle such a boring little matter. But at that moment, Aaron had basically turned into Conan. There was only one truth. He first asked the victim when and where the crime had happened. But even the victim had forgotten. She only said the silver spoon had still been at home when she ate dinner last night. Then, when she woke up in the morning, the silver spoon was gone, so it had to have been stolen by someone nearby. Aaron continued, "In that case, where were each of you from last night until this morning, and what were you doing?" The bald man said that after organizing his herbs last night, he went home early and slept. He hadn't even eaten dinner. Since this man looked a bit like a goblin, Aaron decided to call him Goblin Man for now. In the Middle Ages, the whole meaning of life was eating 3 meals a day. Yet this guy had skipped dinner, which made him suspicious. The buck-toothed woman said that was her private business, and she didn't need to report it to Aaron. She emphasized again that her family owned a silver mirror, so a tiny silver spoon couldn't compare to that at all. But Aaron felt that something like a silver mirror didn't fit the lifestyle of an ordinary commoner, which made her suspicious too. The last man said he hadn't taken a single step outside his room, and that the woman had practically dragged him out by force. Pale Man said this coldly, but the woman thought Pale Man was the most suspicious, because she had never seen him before. He seemed to be an outsider, which definitely made him a prime suspect. There was no choice. Although Aaron didn't want to go this far, he could only use his final method now. At this moment, Aaron hadn't yet realized one problem. He was planning to turn all of their homes upside down. Back then, Aaron simply felt bored and wanted to use this case to kill time. But the case that followed would bring him enormous trouble. When Kai saw that the 3 of them were unwilling, he immediately got furious. "We act a little polite, and now you think you can walk all over the guards?" With no other choice, the 3 of them had to agree. Pale Man, who was walking at the back, even got kicked by Kai. Based on their reactions just now, Aaron felt that all 3 of them seemed to be hiding something embarrassing. But that was perfect for Aaron, because he was bored right now and could use this case to kill some time. The first place Aaron visited was the woman's house, where a silver mirror stood in front of her. The buck-toothed woman said she owned a silver mirror, so she would never care about a missing silver spoon. The room was plain and empty, yet there was a silver mirror inside, which made Aaron even more suspicious. Still, one thing was clear. There was definitely no silver spoon in this room. However, one thing did catch Aaron's attention. There was actually a pair of men's pants inside. And there was also a strange smell in the room. It seemed this woman was an adulteress. In this medieval world, that was a serious crime. The woman quickly brought over some food. "You must be tired. Please eat something before continuing the investigation." After eating the woman's food, Aaron couldn't really say anything more. In any case, this had nothing to do with him, so they moved on to the next house. The second person's house was filled with books. After searching through them, they found that all of them were romance novels. Just then, Aaron noticed something. There was a silver bracelet tucked between the pages of a book. It looked pretty nice and matched the outfit Aaron was wearing. He felt that even if it disappeared, the man probably wouldn't notice, so he might as well secretly take it. At that moment, a burp suddenly came from inside Aaron's body, and Kai heard it. Aaron immediately said, "My shoulder is a little stiff. You must have heard wrong." Aaron cursed that bastard demon inwardly. Why did it have to burp now? If anyone found out, he'd be finished. Unfortunately, Kai chose that exact moment to say, "Captain, when did you start wearing a bracelet?" Aaron looked at Pale Man a little awkwardly, but Pale Man simply said, "If you like it, feel free to take it." It seemed Pale Man was actually a pretty good person, so Aaron immediately declared him innocent. The last place was Goblin Man's house. Hopefully, Aaron could get something there too, since the first 2 people weren't the culprits. This guy was probably the real criminal. Besides, his behavior had been suspicious from the beginning. Aaron understood now. Although it might not look like it, he was seriously investigating. Once they went inside, they would search his house directly. But to their surprise, his home made both of them freeze. There was actually a horse inside his house, and it was a horse wearing makeup. Goblin Man seemed to love it very much. Aaron was speechless, and Kai behind him was just as speechless. Aaron gave Goblin Man a swift kick. This guy loved horses way too much. Kai had heard that he was the most famous horse trainer in Cassidy City. Now this was troublesome. It seemed none of the three of them looked suspicious anymore. But just then, the auntie said, "Sorry, I found the spoon. It was mixed in with the hay." So it seemed Aaron had wasted his time after all. But it wasn't a total waste, since he had still gained two little things. That night, Aaron went to the inn. He complained that the auntie had really caused a mess and wasted their time for nothing. Mini Fridge walked over with a mug of beer, but from her expression, she seemed to be waiting for Aaron's reaction. Just as Aaron was wondering what was going on, his eyes widened in shock, because inside the beer were two ice cubes carved into the shape of roses. Mini Fridge looked proud. "I worked really hard." Seeing her like that, Aaron couldn't help feeling happy too. "You really did work hard. But I think you worked hard in the wrong direction. What's the point of making ice cubes this pretty when they're just going into beer?" Still, looking at her expression, Aaron couldn't bring himself to discourage her. After all, she was only a 12-year-old child. Aaron thought he should find a magic book for her soon. Just then, Kana noticed the bracelet on Aaron's wrist. She leaned closer with a curious expression. When Aaron raised his hand, she lifted her head to look at the bracelet. It seemed she really liked it. So Aaron just handed her the stolen bracelet. That made Mini Fridge extremely happy. Although the bracelet was a little old, its quality was still decent. That skinny guy might actually be a good guy after all. So someday Aaron should buy him a fish head bread as thanks. For some reason, the pale man from earlier suddenly shivered. He thought, why did he suddenly get goosebumps? Was he catching a cold? Damn it, he really didn't want to come to such a remote place. A border city was basically a symbol of ignorance and barbarism. More importantly, mere commoners dared to trouble a white magic tower mage. Something like this would never happen in the capital. And that man was practically the embodiment of barbarism and ignorance. On top of that, he was especially greedy. That incredibly rude guard captain had even barged into his home. The pale man had worried that something like this might happen. So that morning, he had cast identification magic on the books to make them look like ordinary novels. That way, he absolutely wouldn't be exposed. But then, he saw it. Aaron discovered the bracelet. That frightened the pale man badly, and he cursed Aaron in his heart. That bastard had actually touched his belongings. That wasn't something someone like Aaron could casually touch. At that time, a red light had swept over Aaron's body, but Aaron didn't notice it. Maybe that's why the demon had burped back then. However, the pale man didn't know that, so he was deeply shocked. His magic had no effect on Aaron, and Aaron wasn't even a knight with holy power. He was just a mere guard. Yet, he was able to take the bracelet. What exactly was this guy? But after thinking about it carefully, the pale man decided to let it go. Aaron wasn't worth exposing his true identity over. His mission from beginning to end was to investigate the beloved by Mana. One morning, Aaron's companion asked him if he thought something felt strange. Why were the Finero family's soldiers standing so far away from them? Aaron guessed it was probably because they had caused trouble at the restaurant last time and gotten beat up by him. Just then, a carriage appeared ahead of them. Aaron narrowed his eyes and looked closely. That carriage seemed to belong to a Finero noble. Could that be the eldest son his colleague had mentioned before? Soon, that noble was about to pass by their gate. Aaron brushed past the eldest son, but the man gave a faint smile. After that, the carriage disappeared into the distance. Nobles really were annoying. He actually just left like that. Then, Aaron sharply noticed something else. There was another carriage behind it, and the person driving it was wearing a cloak. Aaron immediately stepped forward and stopped him. Where exactly are you people from? The man in charge chuckled. We're from Mount Kaler. I'm Shunai, a third-level administrator of Mount Kaler. So it was a carriage from Mount Kaler. No wonder they carried themselves like city people. Shunai nodded. Thank you. We'll take our leave now. With that, he drove the carriage into the city. Aaron's companion felt that a lot of impressive carriages had entered the city today, and dealing with people of such high status made him uncomfortable. Aaron told him to watch what he said, because sometimes words like that could jinx it. The moment he finished speaking, the earlier carriage turned back. A man stepped out of the carriage. He said, judging by your clothes, you must be honorary monk Aaron. Aaron had seen it wrong earlier. This was actually a carriage from the church. So this guy was the monastery director. He told Aaron to raise his wrist a little higher. You're just as the reports described, an honest believer. Let's have a proper talk next time we meet. With that, he rode away in the carriage. Aaron felt like his workload was somehow increasing without him even noticing. Then Nopo walked toward him angrily. That made Aaron feel even more uneasy. Why did trouble keep coming one after another? Nopo told Aaron to take that thing out. So Aaron tossed out a bag. Inside were part of the fixer from Mount Kaler and the heads of the other two men. This scared Shunai badly. He immediately hid to the side and started vomiting. After vomiting for half an hour, Shunai finally told Aaron to put the bag inside the box. Aaron quickly placed the bag inside. Still, now that he thought about it, that guy had been looking for mini-fridge back then. They would probably send more people later. Shunai sighed in relief. This matter can be considered settled for now. Then he asked, "May I ask where the best restaurant in Cassidy City is?" His hobby was visiting restaurants with good food. Aaron immediately thought of Fish Head Bread. Heisen Bakery in District 3 is the most famous. Would you like to go together? It's close by. Thank you. I'd appreciate that. After they arrived, the owner actually served them a new item from the shop. It was their signature cheesecake. Then the owner told them to enjoy it. Shunai picked up a small piece of cake. I heard all kinds of major and minor incidents have been happening in Cassidy City, so I was honestly anxious on the way here. Aaron also took a bite and realized the flavor tasted a little like the cake the Heresy Inquisitor had given him before. Shunai continued. Recently, everyone in Mount Kaler has been on edge because of Lone Wolf. Lone Wolf was one of the 3 major organizations in Mount Kaler City. Aside from them, there was also the long-established Cold Dagger and Cute Rabbit, which was closer to a civilian guild. That fixer probably belonged to Lone Wolf. Aaron wanted to know what kind of person Lone Wolf's leader was. Apparently, their leader was a man named Philip. He was the son of a noble's concubine. He once tried to poison the legitimate heir, but the plan failed, so he was kicked out of the family. The most terrifying thing about him was his extreme possessiveness. One day, members of Cold Dagger went to a restaurant owned by Philip. As a joke, they took a cheap display sword from the shop. It was a minor matter and could easily have been brushed off as a prank, but Philip believed they had taken something that belonged to him. So he mobilized his entire organization and went all out to take that sword back. In Aaron's eyes, Philip really was a wolf in every sense of the word. Once he bit down on his prey, he wouldn't let go until the other side stopped breathing. Did he think mini-fridge belonged to him? What a joke. He probably had no idea that if he bit the wrong thing, he'd get every tooth in his mouth ripped out while he was still breathing. It seemed Aaron needed to personally make a trip there. He figured 3 days should be enough. He'd treat it as a business trip to the city. So Aaron went to find Nopo. He told her that he also wanted to go to Mount Kaler. Nopo felt that Aaron was acting a little strange, but she didn't bother stopping him. Do whatever you want. You already got permission from the outer city guard, right? Aaron said of course he had. Then his companion asked Nopo whether she was really going to take the captain with her. Nopo nodded. While he's gone, the Finiro family's soldiers will take over his post. His companion felt that Aaron just did whatever he wanted. He had suddenly shown up right before departure and said he wanted to come along. Nopo was helpless too. That's exactly why everyone calls him Thug Aaron. Still, thanks to Aaron's help this time, things had gone much more smoothly. As it turned out, Aaron had already met Nopo 2 days ago. She said that this trip to Mount Kaler might lead to a promotion, but Aaron rejected it immediately. Aaron thought being a low-level guard was good enough. Back then, Nopo thought that if she forced Aaron to stay, he might simply run off somewhere else. But since Aaron himself was willing to stay here, that was the best outcome. Soon, they set off for Mount Kaler. Suddenly, Aaron noticed that Nopo was wearing a skirt today, and she had actually dressed up quite nicely. After a long journey, Aaron and the others finally arrived in Mount Kaler City. Nopo said everyone had to gather at this inn before noon tomorrow. Nopo also warned Aaron that he absolutely must not cause trouble, and that whenever he entered or left a place, he had to use the front door. So Aaron and the blonde kid left with a smile. See you tomorrow. Nopo immediately got angry. Did that guy just leave without actually agreeing to anything? Still, he probably wouldn't do anything too bad, right? For some reason, she felt uneasy. Aaron asked Shunai to show him around Mount Kaler. Shunai said that was fine, and offered to take him to a very good restaurant called Choked to Death Pig. Aaron smiled. We can go to the restaurant next time. Tonight, I'm going to kill the leader of Lone Wolf. That made Shunai freeze on the spot. Boss, you're joking, right? You've got to be joking. Smart Shunai refused to believe Aaron and casually said, do whatever you want. Kill him if you want. I never liked that guy anyway. His attitude satisfied Aaron greatly. They actually shared the same idea, so this should go smoothly. So Aaron suggested they first go check out Cute Rabbit. Meanwhile, Shunai thought to himself, since you like joking so much, I'll play along with you until the end. Soon, they arrived at that organization. However, these people didn't look cute at all, and they had absolutely nothing to do with rabbits. Shunai was already prepared to watch Eren embarrass himself. The moment Eren opened his mouth, Shunai would immediately step in and stop him. But after only 3 seconds, Shunai froze in place. Because the smell inside this tavern was unbelievably strong. That made the members very unhappy. Do we smell that disgusting? Are you two here to cause trouble? This tavern was carefully run by Cold Dagger, and it was one of the places in Mount Kalair that no one should visit. Seeing Shunai like that left Eren speechless. He had come here with a goal. Time passed quickly, and night soon arrived. Eren felt that the preparations were good enough. Now it was time to find that wolf. He also told Shunai to lead him to a casino called Lucky Gambler. Shunai still thought Eren was joking. He told Eren that the place was Lone Wolf's casino, and it seemed even more dangerous than the tavern from earlier. And that was exactly what Eren wanted. If he wanted to catch that bastard leader hiding somewhere, he first had to smash apart the man's den. At this point, Shunai finally realized something was wrong. This guy didn't seem to be joking. Then Eren's earlier words echoed in his mind again. I'm going to kill the leader of Lone Wolf. When Shunai matched those words with Eren's current expression, Shunai suddenly thought of Noppo. He felt that being with Eren might be dangerous too, but he no longer had a chance to turn back, because Eren was already dragging him forward by the neck. Lead the way. 1 hour later, another massive fire broke out here. Someone cursed loudly. That damn big guy, if I catch him, he's dead. That bastard must have a death wish to cheat here. But for now, the priority is putting out the fire. The chestnut-haired man before them was named Chiron, and he was Lone Wolf's gatekeeper. Mount Kalair was usually lively at night, but tonight's commotion seemed far worse than usual. Still, even if a real war broke out, Chiron would only guard the entrance. At that moment, a mysterious figure appeared beside Chiron. Eren gave him a smile. How's your night been? Must be rough. Chiron thought Eren was drunk. If you don't have any business here, leave already. I have to guard this gate. Eren said, the other organizations didn't assign anyone to guard their doors. Looks like the leader of Lone Wolf is actually pretty cowardly. That guy must be really afraid of dying. Even Chiron wasn't stupid enough to miss that this man had bad intentions. You better watch your mouth. He won't die. I've never seen anyone as cruel as him in my entire life. He has a magic weapon. No matter who his opponent is, he can burn them to ashes in an instant. But even scarier than that is the knight guarding him. Hearing the word knight, Eren was honestly a little surprised. Chiron continued, that knight may have a ruined right hand, and he may drink like his life depends on it, but the Sword of Humanity still lives up to his name. On top of that, he has 40 organization members who act like his arms and legs. No one can touch him. Eren gently patted Chiron on the shoulder. Thanks a lot. I could have pretended not to see you and walked right in, but you reminded me of my past self. Good thing I came over to talk to you. I'll make sure the next leader knows about your contribution. Chiron still thought Eren was drunk. Finally, Eren said to him, there's no one in this world who can't die. Whether they're knights, nobles, or emperors, if you cut open their throats, every single one of them dies. That part is very fair. If Philip dies, quit this kind of job. Go back to the beginning and think things through again. There must be something you're good at. Chiron was completely dumbfounded. This guy was clearly wasted. But he seemed to have forgotten something. That man had already taken the chance to walk inside. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Eren arrived at the entrance of a tavern. Inside the tavern, there was singing, dancing, and noise everywhere. Everyone was lost in pleasure. There were probably around 40 members inside, so Eren's diversion plan seemed to be working pretty well. Eren had given money to people from Cute Rabbit and Cold Dagger, asking them to create small disturbances. They'd probably been dissatisfied with Lone Wolf for a long time, because they accepted his request even more easily than he expected. Thanks to the commotion outside, Eren had already tossed his human GPS, Shunai, back to the inn. Now, only one thing remained, and that was dealing with the leader of Lone Wolf. Soon, someone appeared in front of Eren. The man looked at him with annoyance. Who are you? If Eren guessed correctly, this person was probably the knight Chiron had mentioned earlier. There was no way to bluff his way through this, so a fight seemed unavoidable. The knight also stood up unsteadily. A smirk of pure disdain hung on his lips. Just like the information Eren had received, one of his hands was indeed useless. But what was going on with this guy? Why did he carry such a powerful presence? The next moment, the knight smashed the bottle in his hand. Eren quickly dodged to the side to avoid his attack. But in the very next second, the knight was already right in front of Eren. His movements were so agile that he seemed like a completely different person, and his destructive power was terrifying. If an ordinary sword clashed with a sword coated in holy power, it would probably be destroyed instantly. That was exactly why most knights would first destroy their opponent's weapon. At that moment, the knight realized something. His attack had actually been knocked off course by Eren, and the most terrifying part was that Eren had done it with brute strength alone. This man in front of him was definitely no joke. With several heavy bangs, Eren punched the knight's sword hilt several more times. The knight suddenly lost his balance, and his vision went black. Eren felt that his odds of winning were a little higher. After all, this man spent every day drinking. But Eren trained every single day, so he couldn't think of a reason he'd lose. The next second, Eren took his life with a single slash. However, Eren's sword also ended up with a chip in its blade. Eren didn't care at all, and threw the sword away. It seemed the sword could no longer be used. Then he picked up the knight's sword and casually swung it a few times. Aaron found that the sword was actually pretty good. If he sold it, he might be able to make some money. At that moment, Nopo sleepily opened her eyes. She had been woken up by the commotion outside. With no other choice, she went to check what was happening. After pushing open the window, she immediately shouted, "What are you people doing in the middle of the night?" But when she looked up, she saw flames rising one after another. Soon, the fire surrounded the area around her. Below, there was also a group of people who seemed to be fighting. Nopo really couldn't understand life in a big city. She suddenly thought of Eren. This couldn't have been caused by that bastard, could it? But she quickly shook her head. That was obviously impossible. After all, Eren wasn't the kind of person who would do something like this. Meanwhile, on the other side, Eren found a massive golden door. He kicked the door wide open. But to his surprise, the scene inside was even more extravagant. Then a figure spoke up. "You there. I don't know where you came from, but you must have guts to come here. However, now that the 4 heavenly kings have found you, don't expect to leave with all your limbs intact." Hearing that, Eren burst out laughing. "How are you supposed to be the 4 heavenly kings? You look more like 4 little pigs to me." That made the leader of the group glare in fury. Behind them, a man spoke. "How did you enter this room? Lord Behaton should have been guarding the hallway." Seeing how calm this man looked, Eren guessed that he was probably the leader here, and his face really made Eren want to punch him. This time, Eren had definitely come to the right place. One bald man recognized the sword in Eren's hand. Aaron said, "I came here for only one reason, and that's to take your life." Hearing that, the leader burst into laughter. He found Eren extremely amusing. Truly, ridiculously amusing. He didn't believe he would die because he had a trump card he trusted. He leaned closer to Eren and said with disdain, "I have powerful people behind me. Even the monastery director has my back. If you look even higher, I have connections to the royal family. Do you think you can handle the consequences they'll bring? You don't have to be that scared. If you kneel obediently and kiss my shoes, I'll make an exception and forgive your rudeness." The next second, Eren sliced right through his neck. That scene shocked everyone present. Eren said, "You really scared me there. You actually stepped into my attack range on your own. Did you really think that kind of threat would work on me? Too bad. I've already been hunted by someone far more terrifying. You probably didn't know that." But in the next moment, Philip's body turned into a mass of flames. So this was the magic weapon Chiron had mentioned. It seemed Philip hadn't charged in completely empty-headed after all. Then, Eren looked at the 4 heavenly kings beside him. Now the official interview for the next leader of Lone Wolf begins. Go ahead and list your strengths. A man with braided hair was breaking out in cold sweat. Braid Man felt that the man in front of him had not been affected by Philip's threat at all. He had simply cut off Philip's head. What exactly did he want? Eren waved the wooden club in his hand. Anyone who is not selected will be burned at the stake. The bald man from earlier spoke up. My nickname is the Human Meat Grinder. I have chopped off hundreds of heads. Someone else said, no matter who the target is, I can kidnap them without leaving a single trace. Everyone rushed to explain their abilities. Just then, the bald man looked behind him in shock. But the moment he turned his head, someone punched him. The others immediately started cursing too. Seeing this scene made Eren extremely excited. The man said his name was Dante, and most of Lone Wolf's actual operations were handled by him. So please give him the leader's position. After Eren dealt with Lone Wolf's leader, they held a meeting about the chaos from the previous night. At that moment, Shunai suddenly rushed in while holding a box. Sorry I am late. Shunai seemed so unremarkable that nobody even recognized him. He said, "My name is Shunai, and I am a third-level administrator." They thought the box he was holding contained gifts for everyone. Shunai said, "You are mistaken. This is not for everyone. This is a gift my friend gave me on the road. I could not leave it at home, so I brought it here directly." Hearing that, the person across from him became annoyed. "Fine. Hurry up and sit down for the meeting." So Shunai casually found a place and sat down. But it seemed someone did not like him. Someone actually started mocking him. "You are just a civilian, yet you dare show up late. You have some nerve. I bet the gift your friend gave you is trash too." Shunai was speechless. Pyule was doing this again. Normally, he definitely would not have taken it to heart. Could it be because he acted with brother Eren yesterday that his own personality had become more aggressive too? So Shunai directly said, "Shut up." Then he grabbed Pyule by the collar. "This is a gift from my friend, so close that filthy mouth of yours." As they were speaking, the box in his hands suddenly fell to the ground. Someone immediately came over to stop the fight. "Do not fight during a meeting. If you want to fight, take it outside." But when they saw what had fallen out of the box, they froze. It was Philip's head, along with the head of a knight. The people there were instantly scared out of their minds. No one had expected Philip to actually be killed. In fact, Eren had chatted with Shunai some time ago. Shunai had said that getting promoted was hopeless unless he could present Philip's head. But to his surprise, brother Eren had actually given it to him directly. Just last night, Eren had told his men to wrap these things up nicely and said they were gifts. Then Dante asked Eren, what should Lone Wolf do from now on? Eren said he did not want anything in particular, so Dante could handle it himself. The organization would be given to him from now on. In any case, no one would come bully Minifridge anymore. So Eren's goal had already been achieved. While Dante was still wondering what Minifridge even was, Eren added, "Take care of third-level administrator Shunai, and also the gatekeeper Kyren. Do not let him keep standing there. Let him do what he actually wants to do. After that, develop the organization however you want. Be a good leader, and do not make me come all the way back here again," Dante said. "Then after you return, boss, I will report to you regularly and send a few gold coins along with it." The moment Eren heard there would be gold coins, he immediately broke into a bright smile. After finishing his business, Eren went to a purification shop, looking at the strange, mystical-looking man in front of him. The demon inside Eren became annoyed. "I hate this light." Eren told the demon not to cause trouble, because every purification was expensive. Sure enough, after the man finished chanting, a cloud of black smoke rose from Eren's body, and it felt as if his soul had been pulled out. But in the blink of an eye, Eren's entire body felt incredibly refreshed. This purification had cost 20 silver coins. Eren simply handed him a gold coin. "Are you willing to travel for work? I have a mage I want to train. If you're willing to come to Cassidy and teach her a few spells, you can make even more money." The man said he might as well move straight to Cassidy City. Just as Eren was about to leave, the man stopped him. Then, he gently blew on Eren's shoes. In the end, the man looked completely exhausted and said this was a free service for Eren. It seemed this person really knew how to do business. So, Eren thanked him and left. "My name is Eren. Once you're ready, come find me in Cassidy City." At that moment, Nopo was walking around the city. She arrived at the place where they had agreed to meet. But after entering, she froze. Had she really misunderstood him? Eren was sitting in a chair, fast asleep. Nopo was a little taken aback by his sleeping expression. When she looked closely, this guy was actually kind of handsome. Then she sat beside Eren and began reading through some documents. And Eren ended up sleeping for half the day. Thanks to that nap, Eren got another half day of rest. But Nopo still had one doubt. "You stayed up that late? You didn't go out and cause trouble, did you?" Eren said, "I didn't smash any walls, and I didn't go out causing trouble." Nopo asked, "Since you didn't smash any walls or cause trouble, is there anything else? Tell me honestly." Then Nopo thought about it and said, "Forget it, don't tell me. I don't want to become an accomplice. Don't say anything. You definitely got into a fight somewhere again." Eren nodded. In truth, he had gone to Lone Wolf's headquarters yesterday. At this moment, Nopo still felt that something was off. She had a feeling Eren had definitely done something huge last night. "What exactly is with all that armor beside you?" Eren said, "This stuff is amazing. In this era, the most valuable and practical thing is iron." Nopo really couldn't understand how Eren chose souvenirs. Then Eren even tossed a suit of armor over to her. "You should be able to wear this little thing too, right?" Nopo looked at it carefully. The size didn't seem to suit her at all. Just as their carriage reached a turn in the road, the two of them suddenly heard a horse neigh. Right after that, several arrows flew into the carriage. But after Aaron looked closely, these seemed to be arrows made of stone. By this point, Nopo was already nearly scared senseless. He never expected some blind fools to dare ambush his carriage. But the only ones who used stone arrows were goblins. Aaron looked carefully and saw there were probably more than 20 of them. But why would goblins form a group of over 20 and move together like this? Could there be a goblin village nearby? At that moment, Aaron dropped his hand to his hilt and ordered Little Orange to get inside the carriage. He was going to take on these goblins alone. One of the goblins quickly charged at him, but Aaron only swung his sword lightly. The goblins rushing toward him were instantly cut in half at the waist. Right after that, Aaron's body shot forward. He casually grabbed one goblin. Then he slammed it into the ground and ended its life with a simple squeeze. Still, Aaron felt that something was strange. If these were ordinary goblins, once he killed around 6 of them, the others would give up the hunt and run away. But these goblins were becoming more and more aggressive. They didn't seem afraid of death at all. Nopo came out of the carriage. Aaron, is the battle over? Aaron had finished the fight, but this situation was definitely not that simple. These goblins seemed to have been controlled by someone. This black liquid was residue from black magic. It looked like a black mage had come here. But why would one come to a countryside place like this? Aaron even suspected that their target might be the noble young lady, so it was better to return to Cassidy City first. Aaron found this incredibly annoying. Why did trouble always find him? After Aaron returned to Cassidy City, he gave the armor he had bought to his teammates. They were very happy to receive such ridiculous equipment. As expected, armor really was the best souvenir. Dylan asked Aaron whether something had happened over there, because they had heard some rumors. Aaron said no, but obviously the other squad members didn't believe him. The owner told Aaron to stop messing around and move out of the way so she could pass. Aaron asked, "Haina, aren't you opening your shop?" She said angrily, "There are no ingredients at all, so I can't do business." The carriages refused to enter the city, and the Lord even told us to clean up the area, then confiscated all the food. Even the cured meat was taken away. They only left enough for us to eat. The Lord is such a bastard. Everyone was startled by her loud voice. Kai quickly changed the topic. "Your hair ribbon looks really nice. It suits you." The owner immediately became shy. "Aaron gave it to me. Does it suit me?" But come to think of it, nothing happened while Aaron was gone, right? A squad member said there actually was one thing. The people from the church were looking for Aaron. Also, they heard a new force had appeared in District 6, and all of them were people no one had ever seen before. That left Aaron speechless. So many things had happened, and they still said nothing had happened. District 6 was under the jurisdiction of Jason and Scar. How could anyone dare form a new force there? Aaron had to hurry to District 6 and check things out. Soon, Aaron arrived at the gate of District 6. Did these people still relieve themselves by the roadside? There was definitely a stink in the air. Soon, they reached their destination. Up ahead, there was a cluster of dark figures. Just as his colleague had said, they were all unfamiliar people. Aaron simply waved them over. "You guys, come here for a second." And those people actually came over. The leader looked like a polished scumbag. "Hello. May I ask what this is about?" But what he didn't know was that Aaron hated people like him the most. Aaron said, "I don't think I've seen you before. What's your name?" The man said his name was Jouch. "Good, Jouch. Why are you people here? And why did you bring so many ugly friends with you?" Hearing Aaron's hostile tone, Jouch immediately changed his expression. "This is my late mother's hometown. I heard it was a good place to live, so I moved here with some friends I work with. We plan to challenge ourselves with new work in a less populated area." His words had no obvious flaws at all. If he had been a little ruder, Aaron could at least have cut the crap and given it to him straight. But with him acting like this, Aaron had no excuse to make a move. So Aaron told them to take off their shirts, because he needed to inspect them. After they removed their shirts, the tattoos on their bodies were revealed. But these tattoos had nothing to do with demons. Then, Jouch took out a silver coin and handed it to Aaron. "Come on, guard captain. Is it life just like this? Why keep making things hard for us?" After seeing the silver coin, Aaron glanced at it first. Then, he let them leave. It seemed Scar was going to have a headache. These people had no obvious flaws at all. They were completely different from the thugs from before. So Aaron decided to head to the church first. At that moment, the priest looked furious. "Honorary monk Aaron, I have a request. Please help me kill that bastard, Blighton." That appearance honestly startled Aaron. If they were talking about thugs, the priest really looked like one right now. But Aaron didn't know Blighton at all. As it turned out, Blighton was the new guy. According to the priest, he was vicious beyond belief, practically a demon reincarnated. Aaron was completely speechless. What was wrong with this priest? Had he lost his mind? The priest kept complaining that Blyton kept reciting long, awful poems and holy scripture until his ears were almost dead. But that was literally part of a priest's job. Then, he directly gave Aaron several gold coins and told him to teach Blyton a harsh lesson. This was only the deposit. If Aaron succeeded, he would pay several times more. A priest was actually commissioning someone to kill the monastery director. He really had issues. Just how outrageous was this new director? After that, Aaron witnessed the true terror of this new priest. Blyton said, "As an honorary monk, how can you not know the oath? Come, repeat after me. The sun shines upon the earth of night." Then he rambled on for more than an hour. Aaron didn't say a single word. And before he knew it, more than 3 hours had passed. He had been completely held hostage. Rather than suffer here, he would rather go patrol. This Blyton seemed like the type who loved lecturing others. If he showed even the slightest hint of a double standard, Aaron would immediately punch him. But after following him around for an entire day, Blyton never showed that kind of attitude at all. He was also very kind to children. This was getting tricky. It looked like Aaron wouldn't be getting that multiplied reward. This was the first time he had ever seen such an outstanding medieval person. Blyton said, "You worked hard. To be honest, I initially thought you weren't suited to be an honorary monk. But you stayed with me until the very end today, so it seems you're a devout believer. Faith doesn't come solely from a believer's understanding of scripture, but there are many wise sayings in the holy texts. I still recommend that you read them carefully." Aaron sighed inwardly. After following him for an entire day, he couldn't find a single excuse to beat him up. But then again, how could he hurt such a good person just for a little money? It seemed he should stay far away from the church from now on, because Aaron really didn't want to listen to him preach again. Early the next morning, someone knocked on Aaron's door. To Aaron's surprise, Blyton had actually come to him. "Honorary monk, did you sleep well? What a fine morning for prayer." Aaron immediately slammed the door shut right in his face. This guy really gave Aaron a headache. It seemed Aaron's days ahead wouldn't be easy. He might have gotten stuck with Blyton. That day, Aaron went hunting with his squad members. The monsters in front of them were goblins. These small fries were no match for Aaron at all. All he had to do was casually swing his sword a few times to send their heads flying. Even a light punch from him was enough to take their lives. The killing intent radiating from Aaron was almost palpable. Every single goblin was dealt with by Aaron alone. But what Aaron didn't expect was that Pula would die so easily. Kai sighed beside him, saying Pula had been a hardworking good man, so it was truly unfortunate. Dylan felt they should increase patrols outside the city. Even if this was the edge of town, it was still strange for trolls to appear here. That made Kai so angry that he kicked a goblin. Damn nobles. Soon, they reported to Aaron that all the bodies had been cleaned up and asked whether they should head back now. But Aaron had discovered something else. The sludge in front of him seemed suspicious, so Aaron returned to town while carrying doubts about Pula's death. On Aaron's way back, the Heresy Inquisitor was sitting in a tree, eating something. Aaron naturally looked up. Then he immediately turned his head away. As expected, there wasn't a single normal person here. But this time, traces of a black mage were also found on the troll corpses. It was troublesome, but he absolutely couldn't ignore it. The only person he could discuss this with was Blyton. But right now, this priest seemed both angry and busy. Aaron immediately recognized the person being scolded. It was the guy who had sold him potions last time, and Aaron had originally wanted to teach him a lesson. The priest punished him. From today onward, he would no longer be in charge of the potion inventory and would instead clean the courtyard outside. When the priest turned around, he saw Aaron arriving. He immediately put on a smile. "So you're here." Aaron told him about the problem he had discovered today. When he went out to kill monsters today, he found traces of a black mage. The priest immediately understood. "I see. So this is the reason the number of monsters around Cassidy City has suddenly increased?" In the end, 4 people had died at the hands of the trolls during the battle. The priest's face instantly darkened. Those were 4 living human lives. Then his gaze became terrifying. He told Aaron to stay here and not leave while he needed to go somewhere. At this moment, the gentle aura he usually carried had completely vanished. Then he turned back and asked Aaron whether he had seen the Heresy Inquisitor. Only then did Aaron understand that even the Heresy Inquisitor was hiding from him. The monastery director seemed to have gone to find the Lord. The Lord, who had made no decision until now, suddenly ordered that no corpses could be moved until the cleanup was finished. This showed just how much authority the monastery director had. The monastery director was actually going to hold the funeral personally. He really was a strange man. So when would the major cleanup begin? Quarter Noble and the foolish commoner said it had originally been 3 days later, but it had been moved up to tomorrow. The young lady wouldn't be going this time. Fortunately, she would remain in the city, which was only natural by common sense. After all, if they were going to fight monsters, there was no need to bring the young lady along. The problem was that if a black mage was involved behind the monsters, things would become troublesome. These monsters might only be bait, meant to split up the city's defensive forces. Thinking of this, Aaron suddenly chuckled. The rest should be handled by Nopo and the monastery director themselves. Whether this had anything to do with a black mage or not, Cassidy City's forces would inevitably be split and sent outside to clear out nearby monsters. Even so, they couldn't leave the young lady alone inside the city. Soon, the final decision was made. The forces would be divided into 3 groups. The first group would go out to deal with the monsters. Aaron would be in the second group, guarding the city gate. The third group would be led by Knight Ben to protect the young lady. Besides them, there was another separate force, and the Heresy Inquisitor would assist whichever side needed help. Then the priest started praying again, giving both Aaron and the Heresy Inquisitor a serious headache. Besides the two of them, the demon also had a headache. No, an eye ache. Knight quickly fell. A mysterious figure asked, "How are the preparations going?" The other person replied that they had used monsters to lure as many of the city's deployed forces as possible, farther away. Hearing that, the woman said, "Good, then it wasn't a waste for me to keep releasing goblins and trolls on a regular basis." But one of her subordinates sounded worried. "Lady Affley, can we really stir things up to this extent? Even if this is a remote area, it's still part of the Empire." Affley didn't care about such trivial concerns. As long as our master devours the heart of the beloved by Mana, we'll never have to keep living in hiding because of those hypocrites. And, unlike that fool, I'm not incompetent. Every part of this plan will unfold exactly the way I want it to. The subordinate added that there still seemed to be people guarding the city, so all they needed to do was open the gate. Affley snapped her fingers. "Why do you make it sound so simple? Opening the city gate is an extremely difficult task." At the sound of that snap, a group of monsters appeared behind her, all of them under her control. These were the clinging, entangled ones. Even if this was only a border town, it was still a city. With forces that mediocre, there was no way they could break open the gate. The infiltrators inside the city were probably busy dealing with the knights there as well. In that case, bring the Night Hunter here. We'll force open the gate with overwhelming power. But the subordinate replied that the Night Hunter would apparently be a little late, because he'd gotten lost again. That made the woman furious. Without the Night Hunter, it seemed impossible to break through the gate. But she was already losing patience and decided to strike first. "Everyone get ready. Bring out all the corpses we brought with us." Soon, she began directing the monsters to attack the city gate. Just then, a figure suddenly appeared in the sky above. That figure leaped downward and landed directly on one of the monsters below. With just a single stop, the clinging, entangled one in front of him was blown to pieces. That sight truly shocked the two of them. What exactly was that guy? Why did he look so terrifying, and why was his whole body glowing red? At that moment, Aaron was thrilled. He'd actually been wondering what he'd do if no one came tonight, but these damn demons had delivered themselves right to his doorstep. That made him very, very happy.